Been there for 10 minutes. Where you been? Still good.
Good evening and welcome to the Litchfield Board of Selectmen meeting for Monday, June 14th, 2021. The board has just come out of a paperwork review. I'd like to call the meeting to order at 6:30 and ask everyone to please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. First items are the review and approval of consent items. We have an account payroll manifest of June 8th, 2021 in the sum of $781,667.52 and June 15th, 2021 in the sum of $36,689.25. We have a payroll manifest of June 10th, 2021 in the sum of $58,180.07 and June 17th, 2021 in the sum of $63,883.51. We have 4 elderly exemption abatements for the sum of $3,211. And we have the Fire Facilities Capital Reserve Fund closeout of $622.50. Are there any items members would like to remove from consent? Hearing none, do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
We have a motion by Mr. Leary. We have a second by Mr. Lynch. Do we have any further discussion? All those in favor, Mr. Leary?
Aye.
Mr. LaSalle's?
Aye.
Mr. Lynch?
Aye.
Ms. Queenan?
Aye.
I am also an aye. Motion carries 5-0. Is there any other business members would like to add this evening? Hearing none, public input will occur no earlier than 6:45 p.m. First item of business is the May 24th, 2021 minutes. Has everybody had a chance to review? If so, do we have any changes?
I'd like just to add one sentence.
Okay.
It's on page, just for our note taker, page 5, the second paragraph. It says, Ms. Queenan had a set of questions and a template for the members who wanted to become a full-time member. I'd like to keep that, but I'd like to add a sentence after that saying, Ms. Queenan said she created some questions for the alternates interested in becoming full-time members because she did not know some of them, and filling in the questions would help her decision for selecting the full-time member.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any other comments or clarifications? Hearing none, do we have a motion to approve as amended?
So moved.
We have a motion by Mr. LaSalle's.
Second.
We have a second by Mr. Leary. Do we have any further discussion? All those in favor, Mr. Leary?
Aye.
Mr. LaSalle's?
Aye.
Mr. Lynch?
Aye.
Ms. Queenan?
Aye.
I am also an aye. Motion carries 5-0. The next item is the union contract approval. Mr. Brown?
Thank you. I guess in hindsight, maybe I could have put this on the consent agenda because, as you know, for the last year, we've been working with the union and getting to this point with the contract. The selectmen had approved it, budget committee supported it, and most important, the voters of Litchfield supported it, article number 5 at this year's meeting. 821 voters in support, 339 against. We have sat down with the union membership, gone through the tentative agreement, made sure all the changes were made in the new contract. The union's gone through that. They've signed it. It's ready for the selectman's signature this evening. And just as a recap, we kept because of COVID-19, we kept negotiations to just contract duration and salaries. So the wage adjustment this year was October 1st at 3%. July 1st in 2022 will be 3%. And July 1st, 2023 will be 2.5%. In addition, any of the step increases would continue throughout the contract. So just really, it's in your signature file. I think as a formality, the board should just make a motion to approve the union contract as presented.
Okay, thank you. Do we have a motion to approve the union contract, which was voted in by the voters in the last town meeting?
I'll so move.
We have a motion by Mr. Lynch,
I'll second.
second by Ms. Queenan. Any discussion? All those in favor? Mr. Leary?
Aye.
Mr. LaSalle's?
Aye.
Mr. Lynch?
Aye.
Ms. Queenan?
Aye.
I am also an aye. Motion carries 500. The next item we have is resignation acceptance. Mr. Brown.
I think you're all aware that we received an email from Roger St. Laurent. Roger is a regular member of the Conservation Commission. He submitted that email stating that his resignation would be effective June 7th, 2021. And the resignation was just due to personal health reasons.
Okay, do we have a motion to accept the resignation of Mr. Roger St. Laurent?
So move.
We have a motion by Mr. LaSalle's,
Second.
second by Mr. Leary. Any discussion?
Do we know how long he's been on the?
Oh, it was in the email. It was a lot of years.
I think it was decades.
He was like 27, I think he said.
Yeah.
Go back and look, but he gave a lot of his time to the town.
We make sure that we send him appropriate. Thank
Will
you.
do, yes.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Do we have any more discussion?
No, just to thank him for his service to the town.
Very much so. It was years of dedication he had for us.
Yep.
So do we have a motion to accept? We had a motion to accept. We had a second. So all those in favor, Mr. Leary,
Aye.
Mr. LaSalle's,
Aye.
Mr. Lynch,
Aye.
Ms. Queenan.
Aye.
I am also an aye. Motion carries 500. Thank you, Mr. Laurent, for all your time dedicated to the town. Next, we have Conservation Commission interviews. Mr. Brown.
All right, so we've got Chairman Lepore here this evening. We have 4 recommendations that have come forward. Not recommendations, these are members that have expressed interest to be considered on the 2 full-time positions that we have vacant right now in Conservation Commission. I have in your portal, you have the candidates matrix, the thing that Selectman Queenie was talking about. I also gave you a paper copy. So we have Andrew Thompson and Jason Brennan is in your portal. And Diane Plansky had just given me a paper one, and I've made copies. You have that. Marion Godzik, I don't believe I received one from you. If I did,
Pardon
I
me?
apologize. The
No, I was
questionnaire-
here.
Yeah, I know.
last month.
I know you were. We spent time into.
Right, and I handed in a,
Right.
You did.
I gave it to Miss Queenan.
I just wanted to make sure, I apologize if you had submitted it. So, I guess, Chairman, if Andrew Thompson is here, we did interview, spent some time with Andrew on the WebEx meeting at our last meeting, along with Marion.
Okay, thank you. So I guess what we'd like to do is we can go candidate by candidate and maybe walk us through the form that Ms. Queenan put together and give us a little bit of background about yourselves so everybody can be up to speed. So the way it's written here, Andrew Thompson is first. But I don't think Andrew's with us this evening, correct?
I did not receive communication from Andrew. I did reach out to him by phone about an hour ago to see if he was coming this evening. I did not receive a call
Okay.
back.
He did send one in. We could read it into record. Troy, you said his was in the portal?
Just scroll below.
Up there it is.
Yeah.
So his responses were for years of service, there was 3. Full member alternate, he was an alternate. His current role is secretary. His attendance, he indicated as moderate. Under acquiring land, he did not put anything, which is fine. Town projects, he did trail mapping, and other examples of skills he could bring would be GIS. He has gone conservation site walks throughout through work, helped with permitting by, and I can't see what's below that. So that was the items he did, but I believe he did present last meeting to us.
He did.
Gave us a background of his education and so forth. I'd ask if we had any questions, but he's not here. So next we have Marion Godzak. Ms. Godzak.
I've been on the Conservation Commission for over 14 years now. I've done site walks. I worked with when they put in the boat ramp down by the river. For a while I was a secretary. I don't know. I mean, the only thing I really don't have any experience with is like GIS mapping and stuff. It's like way above my head. My past education is as a nurse and as a paralegal. I don't know what else you want me to say. I submitted a letter of interest in the full-time position. And after my poor actions at the last meeting, I sent an apology. And I'm sure you all received it. And, you know, I still feel I can make a good representation as a full-time member. I still have a lot to offer.
Okay, anything else? Do we have any questions for Ms. Godzak?
No, we saw it at the last meeting.
Yeah, we had a discussion at the time. Just didn't know if anybody had anything new that they would like to discuss or inquire about. Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to Ms. Plansky.
Hi, thank you very much for having me here tonight. I am interested in becoming a full member on the Conservation Commission. I've been there about a year and a half as an alternate, and I was a secretary for a year of that time. My attendance is excellent. I have missed one meeting, which I was able to give three weeks notice to. I went to Northeastern High School. And Northeastern University, rather. Well, it kind of was high school part 2 back then. And I went for criminal justice and for sociology, and then working in those fields, ended up going back for business. I caught the volunteering bug at a young age. I was recruited by a teacher of mine at the age of 10 to work at Sunlight House for the Blind in Situate, Massachusetts, where I lived. I used to ride my bike there and work with the kids that were part of a summer program there. I quickly found out there was a lot of kids, and I got a lot of people involved in going to do that. One of the big things that we got to do is that the Bruins used to do an auction there, and we were able, as volunteers in Sunlight House for the Blind, to go and be part of that auction. So we met Bobby Orr and Philip Speed and all that. But I loved volunteering. It definitely touched something in my soul. I carried that with me into my work career. I was the business manager for a cable television company, which cable television had a black eye for developing so quickly and not taking a whole lot of customer service work into that. They were just mostly build. And as the business manager there, I developed a program called Harron Community Cares and was volunteering in the community in the towns that I lived in. As I came into Litchfield, and in the prior towns I lived, I was on the PTO. I managed fundraisers. I worked in the sports and the high school in different programs, volunteering, the library, etc. That's pretty much what I had time to do. My first town project was the What's Up page that was created by Jay Brennan and Pete Salidas. And it was really fun. I was able to get involved in a lot of things that were going on in town. I learned a lot about what was happening in town. I interviewed a lot of people. I interviewed the principals of the high schools. I interviewed candidates for offices so that people could put a face with the name. Because when I would go in to vote, I didn't know who these people were to a great degree. So it kind of put a name to the face for all of those. I interviewed local town businesses to try and let them get their message out to what is now our, how many people? 6,000 members that are on the WhatsApp page that has grown over the years. So that was kind of my first foray. And I was there, I fell under the mentorship of Jay Brennan, who I'm glad not to follow tonight. He's an amazing contributor to our community. And I've learned a lot from Jay and continue to do so. And so I decided to join the Conservation Commission because I'm a big fan of the outdoors. And I love that part of our community is so beautiful. There's so many areas to access. And rather than a political position, I thought a nature position would be great for me. So I joined the Conservation Commission and very quickly became the secretary. And during that time, I have also met with landowners, walked properties, acquired new lands. I believe it's the first piece of land that we've bought since the river access. It's been quite a long time since we've been able to buy a new piece of property at the Conservation Commission. That is in the purchase and sale agreement portion right now. I've participated in trash pickups, as well as at the same time doing Pat Jewett's town cleanups. I've done site walks for the gas station, worked on grants to purchase land that would have given us 50% value towards the purchase of land if it met certain requirements. The piece of land that I was working on the grant for did not, and at that time we stopped that grant. That was in the fall of last year. I also am pretty accessible to the local community members. When something was presented incorrectly about a piece of land, I was asked to go back out and was given permission by the chair to do that, to further investigate land that was available. Let's see, most recent project is the community garden that's being placed in town, working with the Monadnock Land Trust and getting a lot of the people in the community involved in that. I started a group page for that, and I'm at over 250 members now, maybe 260. A lot of people talking about how to be involved in that garden. Right now, we're looking at getting maybe 10 to 20 plots in there, as well as a center garden area, some picnic tables and play area for kids, so that it becomes a destination area for people that not just garden there, but to sit and be someplace peaceful and very nice. And it will open up to something that Jay's going to be working on, which is trails behind it. As part of that also, I met with the Rec Commission to get somebody from there involved, and Chris Burns stepped forward for that. So it was a very positive meeting with another board, which I strongly believe is needed by not just our board, by the other boards in town, to bring historical, rec, conservation together to accumulate and to meet different needs that we have in the community. As far as trust goes, I believe the town can trust me to do my best, to ask questions, to work hard, to work with other boards to gain understanding and pool efforts to accomplish our goals together. My vision for the town and the Conservation Commission in it is huge. I think that we're in a very dangerous place right now. I think the town has been here before and arrived again at it not ready to handle the development that's coming forward. And it is now that this plan is coming forward that I think it's very important that the selectmen did get involved, because the Conservation Commission is a key cornerstone of what happens as far as new land and how our town looks. I envision the Concom developing lasting relationships with landowners and citizens in town to protect the character of Litchfield as the agricultural town it is and was. Our land and history are a beautiful thing. The Concom must work with the Rec, Heritage, and Historical Societies to protect our town. If we don't become part of the solution, we'll be forced to sit and watch the land fall like dominoes around us. So I take it very seriously, this board, and I'd like to thank you all for listening to my presentation.
Thank you so much. Do we have questions for Ms. Belansky?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
you forgot about weatherman, weather girl.
I am afraid that my weather girl skills are more of the emotional weather that is happening in town and not necessarily a great indicator of whether or not you should be wearing a raincoat. But I do seem to be very keyed
metaphor.
in.
That is a climate also.
You know, there's a rumor which is backed up by certain scientific data that there's a force field that keeps the storms from hitting Litchfield and causing a drought. But this morning the force field was not in effect.
We're
So,
working on that.
okay, good. What's that?
I can tell you the same thing.
Thank you. Do we have any other questions or comments for Ms. Polanski?
I don't.
Still there? Are you good?
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah.
Good. Okay. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. Next, we have Jason Brennan. Mr. Brennan.
Thank you. Thank you for the time. I've only been on the board officially for a couple of months now, but I've been heavily involved with the Conservation Commission over the past several years. On a personal note, been in town over 20 years, volunteered at all levels throughout those 20 years, was on the planning board for 7 years, was vice chairman of the planning board for several of those years. After my time was up on the planning board, turned focus on to other things, including the development of the beautification fund and beautification projects in town. As part of that, with the help of a lot of people in this room and a lot of folks in the community, we were able to design and build the John Bryant River access. We were able to revamp Moores Falls and essentially make that a destination. We're able to clean up the muster field and make that the historic resource that it once was, and other smaller projects like the cleanup of Hillcrest and 3A, all done by spurring community support, getting volunteers involved, getting the business community involved to actually make things happen. On a professional level, I've been in the municipal and environmental engineering industry for over 30 years. I worked at the city of Concord, New Hampshire in the engineering department for 5 years. I've been with a pretty large global environmental engineering firm for the last 25 plus years. Every single municipality around Litchfield has been a client of mine or a client of my company's. I set up every single one of their GIS environments. And even back in the day in Londonderry, in the Andre Guerin, John Vogel days, when I think you were there, Troy.
Now the connection's made.
My company is the consultant for a lot of the area municipalities around here. We are one of the wastewater consultants for the city of Manchester, one of the water consultants for the Manchester Waterworks. Most of my work nowadays is outside of New England. So I've got other projects going on outside New England, a couple of cool ones going on. We're helping the city of Miami with their coastal resiliency program, which deals with sea level rise and what they have to do to infrastructure so all their streets don't get flooded. We're helping Virginia Beach with their stormwater master plan. We're helping the city of Los Angeles with their water system asset management program. And one of my favorite projects, which took us all over the world, we're helping the United States Navy implement technologies and tools to help them manage their infrastructure, electric systems, water system, wastewater systems. We had to go to every single Navy base in the world to do mapping, to do asset inventory, to assess the condition of their assets so that they can use information to make more informed management decisions going forward, capital improvement programs, funding programs, things like that. So being in the municipal industry has been, I've been doing it for the last 30 years, so I've got a lot of good perspective on that. In regards to vision, I echo what Diane says. I truly feel that this community is now at a crossroads. We're seeing a bigger pressure from the development community that are looking at our prime lands that they might have not looked at before. We're starting to see encroachments on our sacred lands. And then we also have a driver from the other side with the citizens of the community wanting to retain the rural character. And I truly feel that the Conservation Commission is right in between those two forces. So one of the big things that I would like to focus on as part of the Conservation Commission, and one of my plans is to develop long-ranging strategies for how we can help retain the rural character of the community, retain the historic character, and balance the needs of the development community. And that takes a lot of planning, a lot of coordination with other municipal departments, with the developer community, with the landowners, to pull all that information together and get a long-ranging vision going forward. I am not naive enough, and I've been around the business enough to know that landowners can do what they want with their land. But we need to put ourselves in a position where we have the highest chance to be able to either acquire land, develop, purchase development rights, purchase easements, go for grant programs, to put us in a position to help us preserve as much land as we possibly can. I've been pretty vocal with the Conservation Commission over the past few years. I think that they've done an excellent job in regards to determining and figuring out impacts of development and impacts of the gas station, for example, on natural resources. But I feel that one part that we could use improvement is vision going forward. And this vision isn't a 1 or 2 year vision. This vision could actually span out decades. It needs to align with the planning board's master plan, needs to align with any plans that the Recreation Commission has, and needs to be all encompassing as a community. And I think that's what one of the main things that I would like to focus on. And then the last thing I'll say is, I know I got to put a plug in here for Diane. I've only been on this board commission for 2 months. I personally, and I've been vocal about it, that I feel that Diane deserves a full-time position on this board over me, over anybody else for that matter, just due to the fact that she brings a lot of energy, have to deal with these commissions and boards. And I was on the planning board for 7 years. You got to do stuff. You got to do stuff after the meetings. You got to do stuff outside the four walls of this room. And I think that's what Diane brings. So I'll put a plug in for you while I'm here.
And after listening to Jay, you'll know why I wanted to go before him, because no one should have to follow Jay Brennan.
Thank you very much. Do we have any questions or comments for Mr. Brennan?
Jay, you talked about your job responsibilities and you do a lot of traveling. Can you balance that with the obvious need for Conservation Commission time?
Yes, good question, Rich. And I believe the answer is yes. And due to the fact that things have changed with coronavirus, things have changed. We're all remote now. I've been on a plane 4 times, like in the last year. With a prior year, I was on a plane 24 times. And the good thing with the Conservation Commission, it's only once a month and it's at a set date and time. So when I have meetings, or around its various different clients, I'm able to kind of juggle my schedule to support that.
Does the Navy do remote also?
Everybody, that Navy uses Microsoft Teams or Zoom. Yeah,
It's changed.
they all do.
I wonder if I could make a submarine patrol on Zoom.
Rich, I've been to Kings Bay, Georgia. I've been to New London, Connecticut. And actually, what's the other sub base out in Washington? Bangor?
Bremerton.
Bremerton.
That'd be neat. I could stay home.
You could be in a sub.
Yeah.
Do we have any other comments or questions for Mr. Brennan? Okay. Hearing none, thank you very much for everything you just spoke about. So Chairman Lepore, is your will for us to appoint both vacancies this evening?
Yes, please.
Okay, we can do that for you.
Sorry. I didn't mean for there to be a tone in that.
All right, with that, we probably should do one motion at a time. What's the will of the board?
Both these terms, just so you know, both these
Expire
positions, the
22.
term would expire in 2022.
Correct.
Kim's got something.
Oh,
course.
just so if we
Test
can
drive.
maybe have a little bit of a chat about it. I do like the idea of accomplishing goals together. I like the idea. I heard the word force, and unfortunately, we're there. I just don't know, it is true, we have independent boards that have to be independent thinking and do their job. But we also have to work together, and I don't know if that's a liaison job or whatever, so I'm just saying how we're gonna try to make that work. No, but we have a lot of qualified people in front of us tonight.
Certainly do.
Very tough choice.
It's a good spot to be in.
And here we sit.
No. So Mr. LaSalle is thinking about something. He has that.
I'm still
look.
thinking about making a submarine patrol remote.
You make a motion and then we can second and discuss.
I'll make a motion that we appoint Diane Polanski to one of the full-time positions on the Conservation Commission.
We have a motion by Mr. Leary.
I'll second the motion.
We have a second by Mr. LaSalle. Do we have discussion?
I think the energy level is a key driver for me.
And she works good with people.
Mhm.
That's the key factor. You got to be people oriented in that point, because you're talking about everybody's livelihood in life, their land or whatever it may be. Plus, I think through her experience that she's had, bringing new ideas to the business she was in, that kind of stuff, getting groups and stuff together, that's key to any type of use.
I think the level of energy and initiative that she has demonstrated is key to where they're headed. And I think that's what's important, and that's what she brings to the table.
I think she's like the Energizer Bunny.
Yep.
I feel bad for her husband trying to keep up with her.
Thank you,
Hey.
I think Rich should come up with another, the weather lady, call it. You need this. You need a stick. Okay.
You don't like my close-ups, Kev.
You can't see the background.
Just my wrinkles.
Okay, any other discussion?
Yeah, I like also what you had brought up about accomplishing goals together. And I like that you saw that there were different needs in town, historic, rec, conservation, just that there are other points of view, all trying to get there together. Yeah,
So
I
much
think
stronger
that's a
together.
positive that she can see that other groups are looking at this problem as well, trying to solve some of this. Yeah.
And I feel she's extremely qualified to be a full-time member. Any other discussion? Okay. All in favor, Mr. Leary,
Aye.
Mr. LaSalle,
Aye.
Mr. Lynch,
Aye.
Ms. Queenan.
Aye.
I am also an aye. Motion carries 5-0-0. Thank you, Ms. Plansky.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Marion.
So we have one more vacancy ending in 2022 that we need to appoint this evening.
I think Marion
Mr.
has
LaSalle.
shown-
Is that-
I think Marion has possibilities of being, if she gets in a different certain direction, a different thing, I think she has some good points to it. That's my thought.
Mr. LaSalle, you were going to say something?
I think it is important for us to value the longevity of people on these voluntary boards. I mean, you'd have to be living under a rock not to see the impact that Jason has had on our community for these last 20 years or whatever. But on the other side of that, I think we do have to value the longevity of people on these voluntary boards. So I'm up in the air.
Mhm.
Well, am I filling two shoes tonight? I think Rich has brought this two sides of that, and Rich, thank you. Jason was on the boards. I've had times where I had to meet him in the planning board meetings and stuff like that, even zoning stuff. But I think we got to consider the existing people that are on that board and group. They're changing. They're getting up in age. They're starting to change the way. I say that in a nice way. But we got a younger group. I think Marion, and that's my opinion there. I like to honor her time that she's been here still and still get a good situation going on. I think Diane's going to be a key factor to this and a change on that. That's
I
all
think
got.
we're at a key point now that master plan and planning is probably the biggest thing that we have
Yep.
before us. And that's a lot of emphasis we have there. So, we have Andrew Thompson, who's got some longevity within the board and has some skill set. And we have Jay Brennan, who has a ton of skill set and is new on the board, but has done a lot for the community. So, I mean, that's kind of where my thought process is right now.
Board too.
I just throw it out.
Yeah, that was just kind of where my head's
I
at
just
right
throw
now.
it out. There's two sides to it.
Mr. Leary, you have any thoughts?
Yeah, I was kind of leaning either way towards Marion or Andrew, also being that they've been on the board for a while. I don't think Andrew's ever been a full-time member, has he?
He has not.
Okay. Marion, you have been at one point.
I
right?
have, and I stepped down to an alternate when I had heart issues and needed a couple surgeries.
For health reasons.
I mean, we've got three good candidates here, so, I mean, but I would maybe lean towards either one of those two. What do you think?
Ms. Queen?
I think with Jason, I mean, so qualified, can do the job. No question about it. I think the 2 or 3 months is tough. Only because I think they've served for years and have gone to meetings for years as well. But this is not an attack on anything about you at all.
Aware of that.
This is tough. I almost wish we could have a hybrid, you could alternate a little bit, a dual role or up your members one more. It's a tough thing. As far as Marion and Mr. Thompson, I'm leaning towards, I mean, if we examine the group now, you've been there a while, but you're new to the leadership role of it, right?
Correct.
Roger, I hope he's well, sorry to hear what happened. So you lost another senior person as far as longevity. I'm not sure of the makeup of the other group. That's why I had to do the questionnaire, right? Because the group has a history also. So I think we need to look at that as well. It's unfortunate that Mr. Thompson's not here, just if we had other questions.
Yes.
So it's hard. We have, very good candidate, not that I all aren't, and we have people who have served and the times have changed. And I don't mean tools or whatever. I just mean you dealt with what happened at those times and you've done it for, a decade or two. And now times are changing. It's just, it's not a reflection of tools or any of that. It's just, they've proven themselves and have grown with the town as well. It's a tough choice.
I think from my standpoint, whether we select Jason Brennan or not, Jason Brennan's going to force himself on the Conservation Commission. So it doesn't matter whether he's a permanent member or an alternate member. He's going to be looking over your shoulder. And so I think Jason Brennan has had an impact on the town and will continue to for ad infinitum.
In any position.
Absolutely. And so I'm not worried about that part.
He'll fulfill his dream.
I think I particularly appreciate the vision that Jason has come up with the beautification and that sort of thing. And I feel very confident that that vision is going to come through the Conservation Commission, no matter what his position is. And I appreciate it.
Andrew's been on the short list from the beginning of this too, so that's something to take into consideration as well.
Yep.
From the beginning, he's been the one that stated that he wanted the position.
My only concern that where is he? I know he has some work or something related, but I don't know. I know.
Well, just, in his defense,
I'm just asking.
no, I'm sitting here this evening realizing that in his defense, there was no WebEx link for this meeting because of the governor's orders where we were to meet in person. So,
Okay.
it's possible that he was planning to participate this evening with WebEx and we did not have that set up.
He was also not present in person at our last meeting because he was ill. He had it was an excused absence.
Okay.
So
I didn't know that.
At our last selectmen's meeting or conservation?
last conservation, excuse me.
Yeah, he was on the board at the last meeting on the TV.
I don't know, it's a very tough decision because I sit here and I know exactly what, Jay can bring to the whole entire board. And I do agree with you, Rich, that no matter what, Jay's always going to be involved and so forth. But, to have that leadership quality in there, helping to work with Matt, the vision he'll have towards a master plan, years and actually decades of planning that he's already done and where we're at. I mean, it's tough not to go with that. And then I'm conflicted on the other part because we have, Andrew, young guy, go-getter. He's got a little bit of longevity, so it's a very tough spot to be in. But yeah, I look at Jay's resume, and it's hard. It's hard not to say yes to it.
What do we want to do?
We need a motion to act on anything.
I already did a motion.
You made a motion?
Yeah, for Diane.
Oh, that one, yeah.
You're off the hook now. Huh?
I'm off the hook.
And as the chairman, I try not to make the motion, so.
I think you need both experience and to work with the other. So my thought, and nothing against Jason, please, because he wanted her on, okay, from the beginning.
And that was big.
Okay, and that was nice. But I like this. Marion has not created any major problems with the group in my mind. Okay, well that's how I felt about it. Okay, and the other jump, I'm not very well versed with him. Okay, the meetings, he wasn't there that I could get stuff out, and then he ended up being a secretary. So it's hard to work it in,
Mm-hmm.
Marion's my call. I like that one. Then we got both sides coming together. No one agrees? That's fine. Won't be the first time.
Based upon your assessment, Dr. Queenan, what do you think?
Oh, boy.
I think Jason has the skill sets. My question in my mind is, we usually don't do this with any other board. So if we look at the makeup of the board, who's there now, and who's this last person will when they fit into this, my question that I was going through my mind was, is this committee in dire straits enough that we would want to jump the queue, kind of thing?
Okay.
So I was writing down when you asked me who the members are now, and if we put in the other candidates, do we still think we thought we had a problem because of the land, we needed to get the master plan going, right? So who has that experience? So I'm just trying to fill that in. The answer is, I think Jason has that. But again, are we in a state right now? Because we've kind of tried to get it running a little smoother, that we don't need that strength, is the question I was asking myself.
Well, I think the case can be made that we are indeed at a crossroads
Oh, that I agree with. But are
and
they
that we
going
need
this
to
way or
do
stay?
that master plan
Mhm.
sooner rather than later. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I don't think they're in a nosedive anymore. I think they're stable. It's
Yeah, but
probably a
they need
question.
to.
Yeah, I agree. I think they're stable. Do we need to give them time to get that or not? So that's what I'm saying from the town's perspective. I like them all personally. From the town's perspective, what do we need? Is really what's going through my mind. So
Just with the changing of the chair and changing of a couple members or adding to members as well, the alternates as well, you're going to see a big change in the makeup and the performance of the group. We've already seen it at our first meeting. Thank you. Longest agenda we've had in a long time. Think about meeting twice a month now. But I think right now we're getting out of one spec. We're trying to direct it in the right way for the town's purpose. That's why we're here. I think we're doing that step. Jason is a good call. There's no doubt in my mind. But I just feel that we need to get the committee to act and blend together a little bit more. That's what I'm trying to do. And this change of the guide right now has made that change. Okay?
This might seem like a cop out, but is there any reason why we have to stay at 7?
I think it's.
We'd have to go to warrant.
Yeah,
Need a
it's,
warrant article to change it.
it's set by the RSA when the town created the Conservation Commission. So I think the range is 5 or 7.
5 or 7, and
And,
you can limit alternates through a warrant article, but we never limited alternates in our town.
Correct.
I mean, I can sit here and make a statement that I think the master plan is the most crucial thing we have for the town right now. And we need to get the individuals that can make that happen and get that vision put together as quickly as possible. I really think that's why we interjected, as you said, because that was the crucial part we have to do.
yeah,
And I don't think we just want to get status quo. I think we want to make it like the capital improvement plan, that it's a living, breathing document, and that we're off executing, and we need that leadership that's going to cross all the other boards and commissions and bring everybody together.
if I could just
Of course.
offer, as an independent person sitting on the sidelines here, watching this process for the last month and a half, the Board of Selectmen, and I apologize, Matt, because we've never really gone through this process, but I think the Board of Selectmen realized that this appointment was critical because we were at those crossroads. And we knew that the outside development pressures were here in Litchfield, and they're not going away. So this board wanted to go through this process to really vet out all the potential interested candidates. And it wasn't just limited to the Conservation Commission alternates. It was put out there to all of the Litchfield residents. We now have 4 candidates that have expressed interest that's come before you. Some of them have been full members and alternate members. Some have been on the board for a couple of years as alternate members. Some have just recently joined. I think anytime you're making an appointment to a board or committee, you always want to make sure there's a good mix of some of the older ones that have put in the time. They have that institutional memory to help make sure that things remain consistent and we share what we've done in the past and mistakes we've made. And I look at the makeup of the committee, and I still see that you have Michael Croto, who's I'm sure been on that commission for a long time. Joan McKibben's been there for forever. And I'm going to assume Harry Mazigian has been there for a long time. So you still have 3 members that have spent time, they have the institutional memory. So, as you try to transition the commission and make sure you have younger people coming on that have the experience, and, you want to make sure you always have that mix so that one day you don't just wake up and everyone's gone and everyone's new and nobody knows what they're doing. I think you have a great chance here to take advantage of the senior membership that's there, but also opportunity to bring in people that you feel have the skill set, the experience to address the need and the long-term need of where you think the commission needs to go. And that's why I think we did the matrix. I think that's why we spent so much time. So I really do think it comes down to now you're down to one person who's going to be able to offer that skill set and experience that you need. And then I think the whole commission is going to be it's going to be a great commission that's going to be able to continue to work towards the future.
Thank you, Mr. Brown.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I make a motion that we appoint Jason Brennan to the Conservation Commission.
We have a motion by Mr. LaSalle's.
Second.
We have a second by Mr. Larry. Do we have further discussion? Of course.
I would just, this is going to be a powerful force. It's going to be across multiple departments. I just hope we can follow the process and talk to the departments before things go public, is all I'm saying. That's my only concern. So if we can do that, because you're going to be critical, whoever does this, if it's you, if you have to talk to the planning board, do that first, then talk to recreation, just make sure you show respect to the existing boards before we, all of a sudden go together and try to be lockstep. Because there might be differences of opinion other than conservation. That's my only concern.
Well, I think it's important that they discuss with their own board first,
Right.
because that was one of our big
Yes.
issues with what was going on previous.
Come
Because
together
people
as a group
in
before we
long
go anywhere
ranges,
else.
correct. So, I agree.
Is there any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, Mr. Larry,
Aye.
Mr. LaSalle's,
Aye.
Mr. Lynch.
No.
Ms. Queenan.
Aye.
I am also an aye. Motion carries 4-1-0. Thank you, Mr. Brennan. Appreciate it and welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you to everybody who presented this evening and came forth and had interest. We greatly appreciate all the volunteering you do for the town and all the efforts. Anything, Mr. Chairman Lepore?
All I'd like to say is congratulations, guys. Just go to the town clerk and get sworn in as full-time members.
Yes, warn
Thank you
that,
very
you
much.
said? Okay, come on.
I'm gonna-
This was a tough
So
decision.
we're gonna. It was really
that
hard.
too.
I'm going to have to make up forms that the selectmen will need to sign because I didn't know what the outcome of tonight would be. So don't come in here tomorrow morning expecting to be sworn in.
I'll
A
look for my
little
email.
bit of administrative time. Yeah.
Thank you.
Congratulations,
Greatly
guys.
appreciate it.
Thank you. guys very
Congratulations.
much.
Thank you for everything you both do for the community.
Thank you all.
Okay.
I knew she was gonna be-
Okay.
Public
Seeing that it is 7:25, we'll open it to public input. Do we have any members of the public that would like to provide input?
Chairman Weber, I was here as a prospective alternate to the Conservation Commission. Did I need to present here, or?
Did we get the form, Mr. Brown?
I was only given a questionnaire, simple form to fill out, which I did.
And I know at the last meeting you were brought
Was-
forth by the Conservation Commission.
Yes, and we did formally vote to recommend Ms. Vollmer as an alternate. I included that in the email that I sent out from the updates from that meeting.
Mr. Brown did,
Oh, I guess I missed that in the email.
Lost in the email.
Yeah.
but we could handle that business.
Yeah. If it's alternate.
I make a motion, we
Yep.
accept her as an alternate member of the Conservation.
We have a motion by Mr. LaSalle's.
I'll second it.
We have a second by Mr. Lynch. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Mr. Larry,
Aye.
Mr. LaSalle's,
Aye.
Mr. Lynch,
Aye.
Ms. Queenan.
Aye.
I'm also an aye. Motion carries 5-0. Welcome and thank you.
Beautiful, thank you.
Do you still have fresh eggs?
Yes, turkey,
Tur-
duck, chicken,
Turkey, ducks, and chickens?
She's got him.
phantom and full size.
She built the barn for him.
I apologize. You were missed on the agenda this evening.
Yeah.
No
I
problem.
apologize too. It's just, I didn't catch it. So there's been a
Thank
lot
you for
of,
stepping
a
up.
lot
We
of stuff
really
going on with
appreciate
conservation.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
You did a lot tonight. It isn't even a conservation meeting.
We have a gentleman here with the basketball hoop.
Oh, definitely. So we're going to jump over a purchase and sale agreement and we'll go to snow. Oh, actually, I had public input open. Is there any other members of the public that would like to provide input?
I did have one.
Which leads us into, come on in, sit down. Have a seat.
You want to do it under public input or would you like to do it under the Snowdrop Lane basketball hoop?
No, well, I can't put the same thing.
All right, so we'll get to that in a minute. So is there any other members that would like to provide input? Core.
So I sent an email out to you and Mr. Brown regarding possibly doing like a large scale open house for town departments. So in the same vein of how the fire department would have an open house, I was thinking of doing one. Only each department, board, committee of the town would basically set up a table out in the parking lot, or open up the firehouse or whatever, and just kind of have like a meet and greet with the public and get to meet members and everything, and they can do like little presentations or things like that. Kind of keep it as simple as that, basically. I feel like that would be very beneficial for the town government, and really establishing those strong connections with members of the community. But not sure if there are too many restrictions left with events like that, COVID going on. I don't know if that would need to be considered, but
Yeah, but I think a great time to do something like that would be during Fire Prevention Week when they always have the fire station open house. Everybody's outside anyways. I mean, it would be easy in the back parking lot for everybody just to put up a booth or whatever, just be present to have conversations with the community.
That's a great
Because people are
idea.
coming anyways for
Yeah.
Fire Prevention Week.
Well, you gotta be careful about that week too. It's not always warm. Okay, I'll say that.
It's in
Okay.
October.
It's in October.
Yeah.
We'll go to
And-
fire.
Yeah.
We have a fire discussion.
Yeah, no fire's going.
Anyway, well, the rec commission and everybody else getting together doing the same thing.
right.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
either in the spring or fall, summertime, everybody's doing their own thing.
That's why it came to my mind, the fire prevention, because we're already set up anyway. So
Yeah, that's a great
makes it
idea.
rather easy.
Would kind of be set up almost like a career fair. I guess that's another way of visualizing it, is like each company has a table, and it's basically what I was thinking people could do. But if the board is in favor of that, I could reach out to department heads and see what they have to say.
Don't bring the tax card.
I'd like to appoint Matt as the director of this.
Yeah, definitely.
I'll do it.
Motion by Mr. Larry. That's right.
Make it formal.
That's right.
I think Mr. Lepore has a couple of political bones in his body.
I'm on conservation for the same reason Diane is. It's nature oriented. To escape that.
I think it's a good idea.
Fantastic.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sure.
Do we have any other members of the public that would like to provide input? Mr. Plansky, you good back there? All right, it's good to hear. All right, we'll close public input. Let's jump over the purchase sale agreement and we'll go to the Snowdrop Lane basketball hoop. Mr. Brown.
Here we go.
You have received a certified letter. It was written to the Board of Selectmen regarding a resident's concern over the placement of a basketball hoop at the cul-de-sac of, what is it again?
20 Snowdrop.
20 Snowdrop. And so I just wanted to, initially this outreach was made to the road agent. The road agent stated to the homeowner that he was unaware that we had any regulations. He did come to me. I informed him we had no regulations except for in the wintertime when we're doing snow removal. We don't allow the basketball hoops or any other types of properties, parked cars and stuff, to interfere with our snow removal operations. But otherwise, as long as it's not an issue for maintaining our roads and the safety of our roads, we have basketball hoops, we have fire pits, we have lacrosse nets. There's all types of things that are alongside our roads and in the cul-de-sacs throughout the community. And if we were to start to regulate them, because we have one incident going on, I just don't think it's something that at this point in time that it's a concern where we need to have a town-wide ordinance preventing the use of this area. The cul-de-sacs are town property, but most of the time, we find 99% of the time, the community that's living in that area, they mow the cul-de-sac, they beautify it, they use it for recreation. It's considered kind of open space for that neighborhood. And we usually don't have problems. And if we do have problems, the neighbors work out those differences. But we have a letter here stating that they feel it's abandoned property and that the Board of Selectmen should take action to remove it. And I think we have another neighbor here that's going to talk to you, who is the owner of the basketball hoop.
Yes, that's correct.
Did you guys get the pictures that I sent?
I went
pictures on
down.
Saturday.
Yeah.
Speaking of the video or,
No, I took pictures, as I told you.
oh,
right?
yes, okay.
Yeah, and I met with him on Saturday. And the hoop is not sitting on the street. It's sitting off the street on the dirt. So, I mean, it's really no impact to traffic.
It's a perfect spot for a basketball.
Mhm.
hoop.
It is.
Dead end
It's
road.
nice and wide and
Dead end.
it doesn't obstruct traffic at all. We've got them throughout the town. I don't see why this is being brought before us, actually.
I agree fully.
It's a waste of their time. He's perfectly within his right as a property owner.
Town has not stopped anything from people, been doing it all through Litchfield. There's other streets that have them on it.
We used to nail them to the telephone poles.
I might be going out on a limb here, but I think that the town of Litchfield is a better place when we have teenagers playing basketball in the street rather than doing innumerable other things.
I agree.
As long as it's not impeding traffic, as long as they're not using bad language that can happen, but teenagers being what they are, I might not have my finger on the pulse, but I think the town of Litchfield is a better place because of
The openness.
cul-de-sac basketball hoops. And I think Jason Brennan is selling them. Beautification, yes.
I mean, I agree. Growing up, and we played street hockey in the street all the time. We had stickball games going. Cars came, you yell car, you picked the net, and you ran it off the street. I mean, the kids were off. It was better than going off causing trouble. You're right on the neighborhood, down the cul-de-sac, in front of your house playing.
And the other side too, my daughter lives in Hudson, and her street's got 4 of them on, and there's 7 houses out there. It's a cul-de-sac. There's no traffic. You can't do it on like Route 3A or some of the other through streets, Pine Page
You don't
Road
see
or
them.
something like that. But
Yeah.
the dead end streets, you'll see these. Every town has them. Right? Every town has this.
There's a hoop on Nessenkeg that kind of bends the limit a little bit because there's an end of Nessenkeg that's a dead end, but there's the other end of it is kind of a through street, and there's one there. But hey, kids are playing basketball. They stop, car goes through, and so forth.
You see it on TV
Well,
every
yes.
day. Kids playing in the street, basketball, street hockey, stuff all over the country.
The only question I would have
Except for the winter.
is, are we, by even having this discussion, are we opening ourselves up at all to any sort of legal? Is the town,
I actually think when you start regulating something,
Then it
you
gets
open yourself up greater,
Mhm.
because if there's a violation and you've not taken action and something, God forbid, happened, then we're more liable
bec-
than
if we
are
had a regulation?
if we had a regulation.
Correct.
This has turned into a neighbor dispute. I would sum it up that way.
The dispute is one-sided.
Yes.
Could you just please state your name and address so we can get into the record?
I'd love to do that.
Okay, go ahead.
My name is Mark DeFazio. I live at 20 Snowdrop Lane. I have a wife and I have one son.
Mhm.
We moved here in March of 2005, 16 plus years. My son was 15 months old when we moved here. He's now 17. He's finishing his junior year at Campbell. I've lived at that address since I've moved to Litchfield, and I truly love living in this town. And and you know, I support the town and I support my neighborhood. You know, I maintain my property. Matter of fact, this is a little ironic, but I just had my driveway seal coated several weeks ago, and the gentleman, I really liked the gentleman that was doing the work, and I went to all my neighbors, pretty much on the street, and there are 11 or 12 neighbors that are having their driveways done. Joe was one of them. Actually, Joe Brown
Mhm.
has already had his driveway done, and he was very happy with it. So I just don't understand where all this is coming from. You know, my sense with Joe is that like he doesn't like it, and I didn't ask his permission. And I basically said, Joe, I really don't have to ask your permission. So I do want to address the letter, and I want to address the incident that happened after the letter because it's very concerning to me. So on this, on the four bullets that Joe has here, they're not, they're really not factual. So Joe states that he made several personal requests. The last bullet, he made several personal requests to me. Joe did not make any requests to me whatsoever. He never said a word to me. And as far as 19, referencing 19 Snowdrop Lane, having issues with deliveries to the property, and that property owner made several reports. There were no reports made. Those were the first two neighbors we met when we moved there, and we're very, very good friends with them. And I asked the property owner over there if she made any reports, and she said absolutely not. And the first bullet, you know, is really his assessment. You know, I don't know where he's getting all this, you know, needing night lights and all this other stuff. I grew up in the city. Okay, my graduating class was over 800 kids. Okay, I grew up in Medford, Mass, and I can attest to playing sports. We used to play wiffle ball, street hockey on the four corners of an intersection, and I agree. You know, I'd rather see these kids, you know, playing sports than out doing something else. You know, and the kids love coming over to my house because we have no siblings. They all have siblings. They don't want to go to their houses. So, you know, I love having the kids over, and they're great kids, and they don't start trouble. And I'll be the first person, you know, to discipline or reprimand any of them in any way. We've never had an issue. So this letter was written on the 31st of May. On the 27th of May, 4 days prior, I was on my way home from work, and my wife had called me on the phone because she was concerned about things that were going on out in the street. And basically, a few days before the 27th of May, there was a car parked directly under the basketball net on the street. And I saw it, and I'm like, oh, well, somebody must be visiting or whatever. And I didn't even know whose car it was. And it turned out it was Joe Brown's, unbeknownst to me. When I was coming home that day on the 27th, my wife called me and said that the neighbor across the street said that one of the neighbors up the street was looking at the basketball net because apparently somebody put a free sign on it. And I had a pretty good idea as to who it was. And it was actually my birthday that day, and I really didn't want to get into it with anybody, but I said enough's enough. So I went over to talk to Joe, and I basically said, hey, Joe, what's going on? I said, I hear to the grapevine that you're not happy about this basketball net. And he basically said, no, I'm not. I said, well, Joe, why haven't you talked to me? You haven't said a word to me. You're talking to everybody else, and you're stoking the fires on the people on the street. And I know the people in my cul-de-sac, there's 3 duplexes, and none of which have a problem with it other than Joe. And Joe was trying to tell me about my immediate neighbor that's connected to me doesn't like it. And I says, well, I get a very good relationship with my neighbor. We can go talk to him right now because I guarantee you he's not going to have a problem with it. And he kind of fluffed it off. But, I said, Joe, why did you park your car under the net? He says, well, to get your attention. I says, well, you really didn't get my attention because I didn't know it was your car. And I really didn't care at the time. It was broad daylight. There was nobody on the street, one car. Sometimes people visit, they don't know any better. They park on the street. I said, Joe, did you put the free sign on the basketball net? And he said, yes, I did. I said, Joe, why did you do that? And he said, to piss you off. So at that point, I said, Joe, apparently, I thought we were, becoming friends, and, the seal coat guy. And, matter of fact, when I had my driveway seal coated, which was after his, I got a 32-foot travel trailer that sits in my driveway, and I had it out on the street in front of my mailbox. I called Litchfield Police, gave them my name and address, explained to them that I was having the driveway seal coated and that the camper would be parked there for 6 or 7 days. They said, thank you very much. Thanks for letting us know. We'll make a note of it. And they said, as soon as I'm able to put in the driveway, I'll bring it in the driveway. I was moving the camper in the driveway, and Joe comes walking down. I was with my son, and I was talking to my son, and I said, Nicholas, we got to go to the gas station because I wanted to put air in the tires. And Joe says, he goes, I got a compressor. He goes, you don't have to go all the way to the gas station. He goes, why don't you use the compressor? I said, all right, Joe, that's cool. I said, thank you. So I used the compressor, put air on the tires, gave it back to him. Thank you very much. So I'm a little miffed at, maybe I moved the camper in and I didn't move the basketball net in, and then he saw it sitting there for a couple of days, and then he started getting really disgruntled. But again, he didn't come to me. But after having the conversation with him about putting the free sign on it and about pissing me off and wanted to get your attention, I did speak to Litchfield Police. I called, and they told me that as far as they were aware, it's not illegal because it is on town property, which I acknowledge and I understand. But as far as they're aware, it's not illegal. And as long as you don't have it obstructing anything or it's not on the pavement, and I described that it wasn't, they said, well, unless somebody complains, it's not going to be an issue. So I knew this complaint was coming because after the conversation on the 27th, I had a feeling this was coming. But I'd rather address it with the board as opposed to trying to speak with him because, it's really difficult to even try to talk to him right now because I'm just not happy with everything that's happened. So on June 6th, after you received the letter on the 31st, my son and 3 other boys were attempting to play basketball outside. It was about, 3:30 in the afternoon. And 3 of the boys were out on the street already. My son was still in the driveway. And there was a video that I presented to Mr. Leary. I don't know if you've had the benefit of seeing it, but it's very disturbing what Joe Brown did that day because I felt that he was endangering and intimidating with the vehicle, and that's really problematic for me. And
Did you forward that to the Litchfield Police Department?
so on that day, I was on my way home. My son called me, and basically, 2 boys were on the street. There was a 3rd one on the way down, and Joe drove his car around the cul-de-sac. He sat there, and then he kind of drove quickly at the boys with the car, and then he stopped. The boys got out of the way. Joe parked directly under the basketball net. Got out and says, "If you damage my vehicle, you're responsible." So I told the boys, I said, go back up the driveway, go back up the house. I've already called the police. Just stay away from him and don't get into any conversation. And they did. And then the long story short, the police came, I got home. They waited for me to get home. They had already spoken to Joe. They came back to me, took my statement, and so forth. And so Joe realized that, that his car was parked illegally. So he graciously moved his car and he parked it directly behind the basketball net on the grass. So at this point, the boys were frustrated. You know, they were already standing around for 45 minutes. They couldn't play basketball. There was this 2 police cars there. They're taking statements, and the kids got in the car and they went to Dara Pond. He's like, Dad, I'm just going to go to Dara. He goes, you know, I'll catch you later. I'm like, all right, you know. But it wasn't until after the police left that I decided to look at my ring video. And I mentioned to Tessier and Flynn, Officer Tessier and Flynn, that I was going to look at the video because I didn't know what had happened. I knew that he parked there, but I didn't know how he parked there. So when he parked behind the basketball net, he kept the car out there till about 11 or 11:30 at night. I mean, the kids had gone to Dara. They hadn't played out there since that incident. They have played on the street, and there's been no incident with Mr. Brown. I'm just here really to speak to the board and, you know, ask that, you know, the net be allowed as it is, you know, throughout the town. And more importantly, that Mr. Brown is made aware of the decision so that hopefully he doesn't pursue this any further, because I really don't want any negative interaction with him, but I'm certainly not going to have one person dictate, you know, what I do, especially if it's legal, if it's okay. And like I said, I would never do anything, you know, to get anybody angry, you know, but these are kids that just want to play basketball, you know, that's all.
All right, well, thank you for bringing that to our attention. We have no ordinance whatsoever, so I mean, it's not that no violations or anything. He did send us a letter, so we should respond as a board to the letter. And I think we should respond that we have no ordinance
And
no plans for
adopting an ordinance that forbids a basketball hoop.
And I fully understand, you know, when the fall rolls around and things cool off, obviously that net's not going to stay out there in the winter. I mean, I will move it back up in the driveway and it'll be out of sight. It's not, I would never leave it out there, you know. I wouldn't even leave my car out there. No matter
And the road agent had no issue with it, right? Where it was placed and everything he needs to do.
So I never spoke to a road agent. I don't know who the road agent spoke to, but it wasn't me.
No, he just,
Okay.
you gotta
His
call.
name's Mr. Brown too. so
Yes.
you can get
Kevin
very
Brown.
confusing. I'm
He's a
Mr.
lot
Brown.
bigger.
I'm Mr. Brown. A road agent, Mr. Brown.
Did you go to Northeastern High School? I did. Well, we'll talk about graduation.
We'll talk-
I did have the opportunity to speak to the police. about
Mr.
this.
LaSalle.
Go ahead, Kevin.
Oh, sorry.
I did have the opportunity to speak to the police about this, and I went up there and looked at it, and I was going, "What? There's no issue in my mind. The issue has been created by somebody that got some other issues."
Mhm.
At the 7 matter. In most towns, I worked in 4 municipalities so far, and these are common practices. Okay, they're all over town. They don't create them. And most of them are on a dead end street, similar to what we got here, where there's no traffic. And grant you, I never played in the street because we had Route 3A. Okay, when I grew up here, but we had a field to play in. Okay,
You'd be the fastest guy in town.
but we did. He had Page Road.
That was fast.
But that's half the battle. Okay, is location of these dead end streets like this. There's no traffic problems. Winter time, you want to leave it there. It's fair game to a plow, and they love them. Same as mailboxes.
Thank you, Mr. LaSalle.
I watched the video and I was alarmed because the car physically stopped and sat there for a little bit.
Back and forth. It went back and forth 3 or 4 times.
But then it stopped and sort of watched the boys, and then it pulled up,
Right.
made them get out of the way. And so, first of all, I want to congratulate you on your restraint. I want to congratulate your kids on their restraint. I don't know. In my mind, I'm thinking, you know, if I was that age, you know,
Yeah, well, my wife wanted to come tonight, but I had to lock her up
okay.
because she, you know, that's her son, and
Yep.
she's really through the roof with this. And I told her, I says, just let me handle it, you know.
How long has Mr. Brown lived there?
I think Joe moved there, I want to say about maybe 7 or 8 years ago.
And in your mind, there's nothing that triggered this?
Well, so this is how this
And
was.
if you don't want to share, that's
No,
fine.
no, no. This was the very first time that I met Joe. So sometimes when people move into the neighborhood, you have an occasion to go and introduce yourself and say, hello, I'm so and so. I saw Joe in a lawn tractor. He saw me, you know, we'd wave, but I never physically went and introduced myself, but I know who he was because this neighbor and that neighbor had met him and they said, hey, Mark, that's Joe. So I never really met him. Well, Joe had a big bash one day and he had a ton of cars on the cul-de-sac. And I had come home and one car was parked cars were parked on both sides of my driveway. I mean, to the point where if I backed out, you know, I was afraid that on a Saturday I'm busy. I'm in and out going to the dump and doing errands. So it was obvious Joe because he was having I think it was a big birthday bash. I think it might have been his 60th or something. I don't know. That's what I heard. But so I went over, I you know, calmly walked over, and as I was walking up the driveway, some of his guests or family members had greeted me, and I was very cordial, said hello, introduced myself, said, hey, you know, I just wanted to find out whose cars these were because, you know, they're really impeding my driveway because they're right on the edge of my driveway. Well, Joe come rambling down the driveway and, you know, got right up in my face, almost like he was going to fight me. And I could smell the alcohol. And I'm like, I said, Joe, I says, I'm not here to start trouble. Well, why are you bothering my guests? Why are you bothering my family? He says, Joe, and his guests were saying, Joe, take it easy, you know? And I basically said, Joe, you know, I kindly would like, you know, these cars to move because it's kind of impeding my driveway. And, you know, and he said something to me that kind of stuck with me. He's like, well, he goes, we don't really know each other because ever since I've moved here, you've never come over and said hello to me. You've never introduced yourself. And I said, well, Joe, I says, I said, I haven't introduced myself. I haven't introduced myself for the wrong reason. I says, I just haven't had the opportunity, you know, to meet you. I says, we've seen each other and we've waved. I says, but, you know, now last year I was going to move the net down because my son was asking me, and I said, yeah, I'll move it. Well, I never moved it last year, but I did talk to, on the other side of Joe is Joe. We call him Young Joe, and we call the other guy Old Joe. And then my other neighbor across the street that we'd known for a long time. I just happened to be out one day, and I was talking to the two sets of neighbors.
Is their name Joe also?
No.
Okay.
No.
Ford Brown.
So I just casually said, hey, I'm going to move my basketball net down. I says, you know, one of my neighbors has got a grandson that lives with her. And the other Joe is, you know, he doesn't have any kids, but I just said, hey, you know, if you ever want to use it, just use it. You don't have to ask me. I said, if your grandson has friends over and they want to use it, because it's adjustable, it goes up and down. I said, you know, use it. And then I told my other neighbor on the other side of me, it says, it's there if you want to use it. If you have company or you have friends over or family and you feel like playing and someone says, oh, look at the basketball net, let's go use it. You know, so Joe was like, you know, again, here's the gossip. He's like, well, I heard last year that you asked some of the neighbors. And I says, well, Joe, I says, and then he's like, well, why didn't you ask me? And I says, well, Joe, I don't know why I didn't ask you. He says, maybe because I never moved it down. Maybe because I didn't have a chance to see you, an opportunity. I'm not going to go ringing people's doorbells, you know? So I just said, Joe, I says, I did not ask you for anything bad. I mean, you know, he's elderly and I don't think he's going to be out there doing dunking the ball. But I said, Joe, I says, by the way, I says, I don't need to ask your permission. I says, I wasn't asking permission of the other neighbors. I was just letting them know that it was out there, that it's mine. If they want to use it, they're welcome to. That's all. And after that incident, I made it a point to go over to him and talk to him. And I, hey, Joe, where you from? I guess Joe's from Litchfield. He's been here. So, and I told him my background, what I do for work. And, I told him where I grew up and where I lived and, just trying to be neighborly and, because I kind of felt like he was offended that, that I never said hi to him or I didn't really talk to him. So I tried to be cordial with him. And since that day, I've had several conversations with him, but this incident now, I just don't know where this is all coming from. So, my concern is really, the safety of the kids right now. And, and that video was very concerning. I think in a younger day, I might have done something different, but, either I've slowed down or I've matured a little bit, So I just, I think that if Joe understands that it's not an issue, then I don't think that he really has a leg to stand on as far as, saying or doing anything else, because hopefully we can just put this to bed. And that's all really I want to do tonight. I just want to just try to get past it and hopefully live peacefully, I'm not happy with them, but I don't have anything against them. I just, I just want to, enjoy the town and do what I've been doing,
Okay.
So,
Well, thank you for your input. I mean, there's really not a whole lot of action we can do other than Mr. Brown sending a
Yeah.
letter to him, realizing that there's no ordinance in
and
town, there's no violation.
that was my main goal,
Yeah.
was to try to, get to this point where, obviously you would be addressing it anyway because he made a request. So,
Correct. Yeah,
I mean,
so we have
that's
to do a response anyway, so we'll do it back. Keep the police involved if there's any safety violations or safety issues or concerns that you
Now,
have.
From what I understand, when Officer Flynn spoke to Joe Brown regarding the driving incident, he seemed to change his tune quite a bit. So hopefully that will be a deterrent where there's going to be no more incident. It's childish for him to continue to park the car out there behind the net. I mean, it's just, I just hope we don't get to that. It's just, life's too short and there are much more bigger problems in the world.
Definitely. Well, thank you so much for everything.
you.
Well,
And,
thanks for your time. I appreciate it.
you're welcome. And Mr. Brown, you will send a response
I
for
will do
us.
so, yes.
Okay, thank you.
I think we
Thank you.
should also warn
you for
Mr.
your
Brown about
restraint.
acting
Thank
aggressively
you, Rich.
in
Yes.
this matter, not only driving towards the kids, but, parking the car under the hoop or around the hoop to prevent the kids from playing and aggravating the situation.
So, Mr. Brown, in your response, if you could CC Chief Sergeant,
Sure.
so he knows of our response back from aboard, that'd be appreciated.
Would it be possible that I could be CC'd on that too?
Of course,
Okay. Thank you.
since the original one you were CC'd on, so it's only
Yeah.
proper to make sure you're part of the correspondence back also.
That was delivered to the house with the signature, so I knew what that was.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you very
Thanks
much.
for
I
coming.
appreciate
Have a
it.
good evening. You're most welcome.
And Jason, congratulations. You guys don't know me, you might know me now, but I really appreciate everything you do, the energy and everything that you put into the town.
Check out that hoop after.
For a game. it's
If I had a ball, I would have started shooting.
Thank you very much.
You're most welcome. Have a good evening.
We'll get some pickup games
If you
going.
play hoop, you're gonna have to watch your mouth.
All right, Mr. Brown, we now have the purchase and sale agreement of 314 Charles Bancroft Highway, map 15, lot 7-1.
All right. I think this is the first time we've discussed this matter in public. We have been with Conservation Commission members in non-public negotiating over the purchase of this property. All parties, Conservation Commission, Board of Selectmen, and the property owner have come to an agreement to purchase 2.73 acres of land. It's a vacant piece of land. It's residential agricultural use. The bottom part of this property, probably about 2 acres, is currently being farmed. Corn is the crop, and it abuts the land, the river access land. So a good fit to add more conservation agricultural land to already existing town land. One of the things that the Board of Selectmen Conservation Commission did was approach the owner and asked if they could have the first refusal if the owner decided to sell lot 318. 318 is residential agriculture. It's got, I guess I would say, a historic home on it. And it consists of 24.49 acres of land. Good portion of this land is being, farmed, and what I understand, it's very, very fertile soil, prime agricultural land. It is in the floodplain, I've been told as well. So legal counsel has prepared a purchase and sale agreement because everyone's in agreement here. We've started to do a title search, which is required in order to get the title insurance. So with the board's approval this evening, we'll have the agreement in place. We'll ask the property owner to sign it. Conservation's already reviewed and approved. And then I believe the next step will be Conservation Commission holding a public hearing to seek public input on the use of conservation funds. In this case, the agreed purchase price is $110,000.
Okay, thank you. Do you have any comments or questions?
3 acres?
No, I'm sorry.
That's very cheap, yeah.
Yeah.
It's gonna kill my property value. We go to sell.
So right now, we're just looking for, if there's no discussion, we're looking for a motion to authorize Chairman Weber to sign the purchase and sale agreement.
I can't say anything, so you better.
That's my cousin.
I'll make a motion. We authorize Chairman Weber to sign the purchase and sales.
We have a motion by Mr. LaSalle's.
I'll second.
We have a second by Ms. Queenan. Do we have any further discussion? All those in favor, Mr. Larry,
Abstain.
Mr. LaSalle's,
Aye.
Abstain.
Mr. Lynch, Ms. Queenan.
Aye.
I am also an aye. Motion carries 3-0-2. Thank you, Conservation Commission and Ms. Plansky, for all your work and getting that put together for us.
Yeah, if I could
think it's
just say a couple words.
Of
I'd like
course.
to, again, thank Diane for putting a lot of effort into this and working with the landowner and getting this purchase finalized. And I feel like this is part of our motion in the right direction here as we move forward towards acquiring properties for conservation. This checked a number of boxes for us, it being within the 3A corridor, adjacent to property we already have. And going forward with that master plan, which we have approved. I'm just waiting on a purchase order from NRPC, and that'll begin in July.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
It's a good first step.
Yeah. Wheels are in motion.
Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you to everybody involved.
What's next?
Next, we have the emergency purchase order, security fencing, $43,370. Mr. Brown. Good night, everyone. Be well.
Thank you.
Thanks, Matt. Thanks, Diane. Good night,
Take care,
Jag.
Take care. Sorry, we're in conference.
Those trees. Are those gonna be-
Have a good night.
Take care.
Mr. Brown.
All right. What I have before you this evening is a purchase order. It's an emergency purchase order request. So this is really after the fact. The decision, I was put in a position where we had to act quickly. Two different projects were going on. One was the radio tower project down at Roy Memorial Park. As you know, that project now is up and running, live. Everything seems to be working great. But one of the things that was never planned was a security fence around the tower. And obviously, we're concerned about people who could attempt to climb the tower, and we want to get security fencing up as ASAP. At the same time, there was discussion from the recycling facility where that fence, just due to age and trees, not the trees that we removed, but trees had fallen on the fence, and that security fence has been in disrepair for at least a year, if not more. So talking with John Burnell and Dave Mellon, I knew both of these individuals were looking to do some fence work. And Dave Mellon had volunteered to go out and get quotes. And he struggled trying to at least get one vendor to give us a quote. When that vendor came back with the quote, there was conditions that they weren't really sure when they were going to be able to get the material. So we weren't sure if the work could commence sometime in the fall and the prices would be changing on a monthly basis. But on another matter, the fence proposal that was given to us, we later found out was it was more of a high-end residential fence and not commercial quality. So in my discussions with a local contractor, I was just asking questions about what was going on in their world with commercial fencing. And the local contractor explained to me that there is a shortage in fencing material and everyone is backed up. And if you have the ability to secure a job, you need to do it immediately, or it's just not going to happen for at least 6 months or more. The local contractor agreed that he would reach out to his supplier and see if there's anything that could be done to assist the town. And that conversation worked out great. But again, I was put on the spot where we can help you. We can make a priority. We have the material. We can make a priority for the radio tower. And we can try to do the best we can to squeeze in the recycling facility, but that, we can't guarantee anything sometime in August, late August, early September. And the pricing that they gave us was very comparable to the pricing we received with no time commitment and more of the residential quality materials. So in the purchasing policy, we have a section that allows the purchase for emergency purposes. And so I had made that administrative decision to go ahead and secure the contract. We're meeting with the fencing person tomorrow, John Burnell is, to lay out the security fence down at the Roy Memorial Park. So I'm asking the board, again, this is after the fact. I've already made the commitment, but as a formality, to ratify this purchase order in accordance with Section 7 emergency procurements.
Okay, thank you. I know we needed the one around the telecommunication. I had some residents reach out to me asking if a fence was going up, when it's going up, because they were concerned about, children down at Dara climbing on top of the inverter section of it where all the controls are. So thank you for finding a way to get that done quickly, because I know that Mr. Burnell was having an issue getting the material in and someone to come in and actually do it.
Why was the bid made out to Continental Paving?
It was that was a local contractor that had learned about this, and that is the company that they use. They do a large volume.
Mm-hmm.
So it came through, even though it came to me, it came through with Continental Paving.
Okay.
I think we're not paying Continental, we're going to be billed direct, but they're honoring Continental's large volume pricing.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
And also assisting us with the emergency situation and expediting the scheduling of the radio tower project.
And where's the money coming from?
So John will be using out of his budget that he has, he's using that part of money, and the solid waste facility will be using the recycling fund.
So the
Expendable.
9,366 is the telecommunication.
Yes.
And then the other piece of $34,004 is for solid waste.
And it's, a big chunk of the money down at solid waste is obviously the fencing, but the two gates, the security gates, they're, I think the whole no one knows how old it is, but they're over 20 years old.
Well over 20 years old.
They're aged, along with the tree that fell on it. So,
Well, tree cutting is not as strong.
but it wasn't the trees that we cut down. It's just,
I know the trees growing into
Down,
it.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's been more than 40 years, I think.
I agree.
because it was here when I moved in.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Well, thank you for finding a quick solution to this. 'Cause the supply chain is completely messed up right now. Of all
I
materials.
can't believe some of the places we're finding this problem. It just keeps popping up. So,
In everything.
yeah, it's just, you thought, first of all, you thought it was just this one little area. And now it's happening everywhere.
It is.
I'm gonna go out and buy toilet paper.
Okay, so we need a motion to approve the purchase order.
I'll make a motion to approve the purchase order for $43,370.
I'll second the motion.
Motion by Mrs. Queenan, second by Mr. LaSalle's. Any further discussion?
We don't need to approve it. He already bought it.
Well, I jumped ahead of schedule.
Don't make it a habit.
At least you
Believe
could
me,
email
I don't
the
like
wife.
sticking my neck out for $43,000.
All those in favor, Mr. Larry,
Aye.
Mr. LaSalle's?
Aye.
Mr. Lynch?
Aye.
Ms. Queenan?
Aye.
I am also an aye. Motion carries 500. Thank you for taking care of that, Troy. The next we have is the fire warden appointments and reappointments. Mr. Brown.
Okay, so we have Fire Chief Freitzel has submitted a list of reappointments of various positions, deputy wardens and issuing agents. Including himself as a warden. And then he's also, those are reappointments, and we have a couple new names that have been added to the list. So this does require the selectmen's approval more as a recommendation to the Director of Division of Forest and Land as recommended by the chief. So it's a communication tool, starting from the fire chief, making sure the board of selectmen are good. But ultimately it is the state that's approving this appointment.
How come there's so many of them? Just asking a question.
I think it's simply what we're talking about here is primarily burn permits and having the ability when residents want to have a permit, having the ability for people trained and having the authority to issue those permits.
And what is an issuing agent?
The,
Issue permits?
I think the issuing agent is sort of like the beginner. You don't have all the authority that the deputy warden has, and then obviously you don't have the authority that the warden has.
Well, yeah. I've never seen it and heard about the issuing. That must be new. This seems a lot for the team they have. That's all I'm saying.
I think it gives them the flexibility.
That's all it does. No. They don't get any extra money for this, right?
No.
Good. Oh, they went to Bedford.
Now on the motion, do we have to read every individual's name?
I think I would just approve the list.
Just prove the
Provided.
recommendation.
Is there any compensation involved?
I would,
It never was.
there's no stipend that I'm aware of or any extra stipend. So if these
Just a
folks, I'm assuming that if
collateral.
they're working, covering a shift,
Yeah.
then, these individuals, they are being compensated that day that they're covering a shift for sickness, vacation, holidays, those types of things.
You took Seth Miller off the list.
Yeah,
Is he no longer on the fire department?
Seth's no longer on the department.
He's not. Oh, I wonder why.
someday I'll tell
Been
you.
on since he was a kid.
Someday we'll tell you.
Okay,
Okay, do we have a motion?
I just say it like that.
so just a motion to approve the list.
Recommendation, Yeah, just a recommendation.
All right, I'll make a motion that we approve the recommendations for deputy fire wardens as listed on the form here.
We have a motion by Mr. Larry.
Second the motion.
We have a second by Mr. LaSalle's. Any further discussion? All those in favor, Mr. Larry,
Aye.
Mr. LaSalle's,
Aye.
Mr. Lynch,
Aye.
Ms. Queenan.
Aye.
I am also an aye. Motion carries 500. Next item we have is COVID operations update. Mr. Brown.
Okay. So I think we all are aware that the state of emergency has ended in New Hampshire. And when that action was taken, the ability for our boards and committees to meet remotely was removed, and we went back to the standard right to know law, which means that all public meetings need to have a physical location. And everyone needs to have public access, the opportunity to attend that meeting. So this evening, as you saw, because we didn't have a chance to meet prior to that action, I did post the agenda without a WebEx link. I think if we have situations that require someone that they'd like to be able to participate remotely, then we can do that on a case-by-case basis. We don't really have, John Burnell has been online every single night for the last 14 months. And, but,
Thank
John
you,
is
John.
working with LCTV staff. We're going to try our best to get the technology in place so that it's a little, the LCTV staff could actually, manage a live WebEx meeting without Mr. Burnell's assistance. So, but we're not there yet. So kind of going back to what we're trying to do is try to figure out how we go back to pre-COVID and address things that where we're at right now, and some asking to have some changes made to public office hours, because we've learned through the pandemic some things that work better for citizens, some things that work just better overall. So the public hours of operations, I wanted to just share with you the town clerk, tax collector's office hours are, we've been operating on Monday nights from 8 to 6. We were on Monday nights just by appointment only. So these are public hours now, and no appointment necessary. So this, what we're going through this evening would be effective tomorrow morning. And then Tuesday through Friday would be 8 a.m. to 4. So the same office hours as the town hall staff. On Mondays through Friday in the town clerk's office, they're available from 7 to 8 by appointment only. It's something that's expanded. We've been doing that for some time now.
Everybody watching at 7 a.m. to 8 a.m.
7, 8, yeah. Is that what I
in the
said?
morning. No, you said 7 to 8, so I didn't want any
Oh,
confusion
okay.
that it was at
7 to 8
time.
a.m. Monday through Friday. And so if you reach out and make an appointment, then we'll make sure there's someone here for you to come in and register your vehicle, pay your property taxes, or whatever transactions are there. The building, planning, finance, administrative offices, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 4. The police station lobby has been closed. Still was closed today. It's closed this evening. Tomorrow morning, if this is approved, it will reopen, and it will be available to the public from 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. Monday through Friday. So that's pre-COVID hours. And I understand dispatch is looking forward to opening up the window and having interaction with the citizens. Fire station lobby has been open just the last couple of weeks. So Monday through Friday, 8 to 4, the lobby hours. The highway department, we say, they're 8 to 4 because you'll be calling in here at the town office, and that's when you're going to get a live person. And the transfer recycling facility, a couple things. We're looking for Wednesday. Well, let's go through the hours, and then I'll talk about the swap table. On Wednesday, we've learned through the pandemic, because on Wednesdays, we were like operating from 3 to 7, and we expanded Wednesday hours. Those hours, from what Dave has been telling us, people really utilized Wednesday. So we want to keep the 12 to 7 available. And we'll talk about at the end of the week on Friday, where we're always open from 12 to 8, noon to 8 p.m. we've noticed with the extra hours on Wednesday that the demand from 7 to 8 isn't the same as it was in the past. So we'd like to be consistent and on Wednesdays be open from noon to 7 and on Fridays noon to 7. On Thursday, is 7 a.m. to noon. Saturday, of course, has always been 7 to 4, and on Sundays, 8 to noon.
And that's just for the demo waste, not for trash,
Right.
as it always has
Sundays,
been.
always. It's a seasonal thing too. On Sundays,
Mhm.
they'll change for the leaves and the brush and stuff like that. So at the recommendation of the Dave Mellon, solid waste director, the swap table has been closed throughout the pandemic and has been closed primarily for the fact that you're trying to limit the general public congregating in areas and creating space for everyone. So what I've learned is that the swap table, when people come into the swap table, they'll take up parking spaces, and we were trying to limit parking spaces. And then they'll go and do their trash, their recyclables, but then they may gather around the swap table for any length of period of time, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and taking up that parking spot and causing, some congestion of gathering around the table and people trying to get in and get out. Not having the table operating over the last 14 months, they've seen tremendous improvement in the flow of traffic, congestion, and just congestion going up into the recycling building. Also, when we have the swap table operating, we need to have dedicated staff up in the recycling facility, accepting the material, sorting through the material. And we've been really allocating our staff in other sections of the operation. We actually find ourselves right now, we're down 2 of the operators that were primarily dedicated to the side of the operation. And there's some concerns about others possibly leaving us. So it's hard to understand, but it really does take resources, manpower to operate the swap table. You got to have someone there overseeing the material coming in, making sure that they're not dropping something on the table they're not supposed to. Most of the time, it's coming in boxes and bags. It's placed in the corner or whatever. And when we have time, we have to go through it, sort through it, and decide what's going to be on the swap table and what's going to go elsewhere in the facility. So at this time, the request is that we keep the swap table closed until further notice. If the board doesn't support that, then Dave has asked that on Sunday mornings that the hours of operation be from 9 a.m. to noon, and that would allow them 1 hour on Sunday morning to actually dedicate themselves to the swap table and going through this, cleaning everything up and getting it ready for the public.
So excuse me, but so what you're saying is 9 to 12 on Sunday mornings just for the swap table?
It's so what it is, we're not doing trash and recycling, so we're just doing demo waste, brush, leaves, and appliances. So kind of what they call the lower area, that gate off.
Yes.
And because that activity is pretty light on Sundays, it allows Dave to be able to go up for an hour, and the 2 of them can go and work on the swap table, and then go down to the lower area and work down there.
So would the swap table area be open during those times? Is that
I don't think it's open.
No, because that area is closed. So
It's closed.
I think what Dave is trying
Just
to say is
it gives
that
them a chance to go in there for 1 hour,
clean it up.
and it'll be ready to go for the next time we're open, which would be on a Wednesday.
So he's saying that during the week he can't get to the table. So what he'd like to do, if we want the table to be open, in lieu of opening up at 8 a.m., he'd open up at 9 a.m. for the debris, appliances, and so forth. And from 8 to 9, he and another individual would go up, take care of it, clean up the swap table, get rid of stuff that needs to go, sanitize, and be good to go come Wednesday.
But for the public, for them to come in and put stuff on the swap table.
It would be Wednesdays, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, normal dump hours.
So we're just gonna have an extra 1 hour for two guys, 2 man hours to prepare for that.
We
Right.
just wouldn't, we just wouldn't be open
Okay,
an hour
all right,
earlier that day.
okay.
So on Sundays, we just by just delaying opening 1 hour, it just gives them that much time just to go and address the swap table and any other items that they need.
But just this 1 week, or
That would probably stay in effect, until further notice.
Because he wants to get he has to get his manpower back up, right? That's
So
the
his
biggest driver.
preference is not to open the swap table, but we also know that, the residents do talk about this. I think there are, it's an interesting conversation with Dave, because Dave does honestly believe that the manpower time that we put into the swap table, and I think part of the thought process is to try to reuse, recycle this stuff instead of paying for the per tonnage to have it disposed of. But in his opinion, really, we're probably it's probably costing the taxpayers more money to recycle these types of items that are put on the swap table than it would be to just allow it to go through the waste stream process, which is interesting, and then so either way, his preference is not to open the swap table, but if the board's not comfortable with that, then he'd just like to change the Sunday hours from 8 to noon from 8 to noon to 9 a.m. to noon, and that gives him 1 hour to clean up the swap table.
I know there's a lot of people out there that really want the swap table. There's been a lot of talk. Dave's got, as you mentioned, he's got to get two more guys in there, train them and stuff like that. And that's another issue all by itself. But I'd rather see the swap table there and that change that David made, at least keep it going and give him the 2 hours of what he wants to do to clean that off. Because people bring things up there instead of just throwing away. Other people throwing away, they like to go see what's there. It's traditional from day one here. I understand Dave's concern, but we've always tried to be a place to drop stuff off and have people want to see something.
I kind of think that maybe Saturday's not exactly the best day to have that swap table opened if we're going to open it, because anyone that's been to the dump on a Saturday knows that line can run all the way out to Hillcrest.
Yeah.
And if people are gathered around there and shooting the breeze or whatever, they're taking up space and they're limiting the productivity of the facility. So maybe we don't have the swap table open on Saturdays. Let it be the rest of the days of the week, but just close it on Saturday. And then Sunday he can do his hour change from 9 to 12 and be able to do what he needs to do in there.
I really like that thought, Mike. One
Yeah.
question would be, how would we close the table? You know what I mean? Because when people walk up, it's
You just put a sign up that says,
Closed,
yeah, it will be closed on Saturdays.
You can fence it too.
I guess they could. I was going to say they could rope it off.
rope it
Rope
off.
it off. That's it.
But I do like
Don't
that idea.
people
'Cause
go
it's
in
usually
there?
Saturday where everything backs up.
Yeah.
Oh, I
Yeah.
see. Just rope the table itself off.
Yeah. Could rope it off. It was really interesting when you talked to Dave one-on-one about all the activity that occurs around the swap table. And,
Yeah.
and
Oh, yeah,
there
it
is.
is.
There are people they'll park their vehicle.
And they're in there for
That's
20
a
minutes.
premium parking spot for people to get in, get out real quick. They just want to get in, get the trash, recyclables, get in their car and leave. They'll take that spot up, do their trash and recyclables, but then go at the swap table and spend a half an hour there.
Yep.
They'll actually flip through novels to see what they're
Oh, yeah.
about. And, they spend some time there.
Yeah.
And it's,
And
So it is the Litchfield
I asked
Mall.
Dave, Dave, why don't you have parking elsewhere so they can,
There's really no place else.
but there isn't any place to really park, he said.
There's a
And
big
the lines
field.
going out the door, there's just no place to park. So it's tough. And then you have aggressive shoppers that they're kind of wrestling over some of the stuff and assisting people taking stuff out of their car because they want to rummage through the, I mean, it's interesting story to talk to Dave about.
Maybe ask him what he thinks of that.
Yeah,
idea.
Because that is going to be their busiest day, and that's when they,
Yeah,
the
Saturdays
manpower
is a-
really needs to be dedicated to recycling debris. and that
Maybe
kind
we
of stuff.
say the swap table's only open on Sunday morning.
But the whole area is
But
closed.
then you're gonna have to
off.
open up the gates and then it's people gonna come in, try to get rid of trash, recycling.
Well,
Yeah, I mean, the
no.
doors can be
You
closed.
could do that.
You
yeah.
could do it because the
Yeah.
doors would all be closed.
You
The
could do-
recycling
yeah.
center would be closed. It's
That's
just
not a
swap.
bad idea,
It's just a
actually.
swap.
So all the trash doors would be closed.
Yep.
Because they pull those down, the
Yep.
recycling doors.
Because that way you'd have,
Just the swap table people there.
yes, and you'd have
You can
You'd
play
have-
parking.
They can talk
plenty
all
of
they
free
want.
parking.
Mhm.
You could have valet parking possibly. But,
Yeah, we'll get Kevin up there.
But never mind.
that would be kind of interesting, wouldn't it? You know, for people to come there on Sunday morning and
After church.
To shop at the mall.
after church. Yeah, shop at the mall, do their Christmas shopping. and-
So
Or you
Pete,
put a
why don't you
sign
run
on
both
it.
those scenarios
Yeah,
past?
run them
past
past
Dave,
Dave,
yeah.
and, you know,
Talk to Dave about it.
yeah,
We could call it Dave's Swap Shop.
There you go.
he would love that.
Diamond Dave.
He would too. Maybe put another sign for that. up.
So I mean,
You know what we might do is have you discuss it with him, you know, because he knows better than,
Oh, yeah, he knows.
Yeah.
but to have a dedicated Sunday morning for the swap table, because they'd be manned, right? It's not like we need additional manpower, right? Or would you?
Not really.
well, I don't know. They're over in the debris area. I mean, does anybody really physically need to be in there? I don't
Yeah, I
think
don't know.
so.
I mean, do you need to
Pretty
monitor
much
it?
runs itself.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think it's worth having a discussion with Dave. You know,
Ever talk with him?
it's just, I think we have I think the message we're trying to deliver here is that we've been closed for 14 months.
Yep.
We have an opportunity here when we open, you know, we should probably open it with the idea that this is going to be our schedule and our operation for the future.
Forward,
So
yeah.
they're not changing it again.
Yeah.
The
So I think
line-
when we make a motion on this tonight, we'll keep it closed pending your discussion with Dave.
Yeah.
And we can just bring it back at the next meeting.
Yeah.
The lines have not been bad since the COVID. I'll say that. Yeah, every once in a while, on a certain time on a Saturday, they may hit Hillcrest Road,
Mhm.
but we got more parking in the field now. But you got plenty of room. Okay,
Mm.
that there's a lot of people that like to hanging around there on it. And it does. I've seen it lined up all the way up there.
The Girl Scouts could sell cookies.
Yeah.
I understand there's a lot of extra Girl Scout cookies. Did you see that?
I didn't see
No, I didn't see that.
Apparently
Really?
with COVID, they weren't able to sell Girl Scout cookies. So now there's a surplus of Do-si-dos or.
I've got a
Tagalongs.
surplus at my house,
Do
but it's
you?
because I bought them.
Send the thin mints my way.
You want them? I can do
Now,
that.
what if the
Okay.
public sees this and then really wants it back on Saturday? Would we have another discussion? A lot of people
We
have
can
asked
al-
me
We can
about
always come back.
this.
Yeah, we can always come back and keep
So-
reassessing.
Always.
I mean, I think the biggest thing right now is the manpower for Dave.
He has two down, and the way the market is for people
Yeah,
who are
I'm
getting
worried.
paid, we got a little problem. We may have a pay problem there.
You know, and after 14 months, at least bringing it back a day or 2 days or whatever it is, you know, we're getting back to that point.
What's the beginning pay rate at the,
Well, we're probably gonna have a conversation on that at our next meeting, but I think it's right around $14 and something.
Yep.
Yeah, and we got Dunkin' Donuts and we've got everyone now right out of the
More.
gate, 15 or higher. No experience, nothing. And working probably in a better environment than you are down there. It's-
sign-on bonuses and, we could offer people free pickings at the,
At the mall.
at the mall.
How about if we let Dave go with this model until Troy has a chance to talk to him and then we
Let's do
can
this model.
finalize it.
Okay.
But this is good for now, I think.
Yeah, and again, so if you receive any, negative feedback that
Table.
on Friday, shutting down at 7:00.
Mhm.
The exchange is on Wednesday. We're opening at noon and not 3.
Mhm.
So, I think I really think one, it's a lot better for the staff because it's 7:00. The last customer's leaving.
Mhm.
It's a Friday night.
Yep.
And you got to come back Saturday morning. So,
Yep.
getting out of there, if your hours are open till 8, you're not getting out of there at 8:30, 8:40.
And then you're right
That's
back
late.
in there at 7 a.m. the next
Yeah.
morning.
Agreed.
And like Dave said, they really like that Wednesday noon to 7. So,
Yep.
So,
Okay.
the other categories talking about general protection, we're opening up the lobby areas, a lot of the things that, we closed down one of the restrooms to, just prevent congestion. That's opening back up. The lobby will go back to its normal configuration. We're still going to keep the chain, the way you see it there. And that's just to really just promote still good traffic flow and try to promote some social distancing. But it hasn't been a problem. The lobby areas worked out really well. We'll try to keep whatever protective, shields we have right now in place.
I think
For
we
now.
should limit the occupancy of the bathrooms to 3,
No more than 3.
more than 3 at a time, and put some shields in there.
Oh my God.
My wife keeps threatening me with town office conference room. Okay, so let's talk about this conference room. We had an emergency management meeting today, trying to go through the setup. Our fire chief was in here today measuring, and we're trying to determine how to continue to safely operate our public meetings here, but also be responsible enough to know that we still need to be aware that we still need to have an environment where we need to, to separate. I believe, I can't really remember, but I believe pre-COVID, we had the horseshoe configuration that we had 2 people per table.
So we used to have all 5 of us sit across the
Yeah.
table up front.
You all 5 were there.
Yep.
Mhm.
And I don't know, right yet if we're all ready to be that close. And I don't think it's really the responsible thing to be that close. And so,
See who I have to sit next to?
so we think it's still better to try to keep this, what we call the square configuration, and to keep this operation, remove that table back there. And that's to, and the podium. And that will give us a little bit more floor space, and we think we can have a capacity in here, including the cable operator, of 18 people. I counted tonight. We had 14 tonight.
I think it's actually what's written here, Troy, is 17.
17.
Yeah, but
Not including the-
not including if they did the calculation on the fire safety code, you get 18.6.
On a place,
Set up this way, because we lose all the square footage in the middle. So based on the fire safety codes, it's 18.6.
And tonight we had, it was the first time we've had some activity. We had 14. I counted, we had 14, including the cable operator.
Yeah.
And I was watching 2 individuals, which was interesting, standing in the doorway. So even if we had the chairs, you're probably still going to have that situation where someone might actually just be standing in the doorway, 1 or 2 people, just for that subject matter, and then they'll most likely leave.
When we take out this table back here, we just have chairs.
Yeah. And I think the podium right now, just to be able to have more space for people to come, we want the public to be able to come. And I don't know if it's that important to have the podium at this point in time. They can come to the table or just stand up. They can talk from the chair. And I do think that, the chairs, the boards and committees will get used to having a surge, I'll call it a surge, but usually there's going to be an agenda item that will attract more public, and you try to manage that load. If people are waiting for another topic, you ask them if they could wait in the lobby area, or just it's summertime, so they could go outside, whatever. And I mean, we saw it tonight. We had 14 here, and then once we got through some of the subject matters that they were here for, they left. And that's not to say that there's possibly you could have some meetings where you're going to have high demand. We don't, typically that's not the case.
Could we also have a provision so that the lobby area is an extension of the conference room for people to wait? You know, you see what I'm saying? So that maybe they're not involved in the first agenda item, but they want to be here for the next.
Right.
You know,
They
so they could sit out there.
Sit out there and wait. And
Yeah.
And so I think it'll work. And then again, you notice out in the real world how every week everything's changing so quickly. The summer months are slower for our boards and committees. I think the budget committee, I'm not even sure if they meet the month of July or they take August off. So typically for the next 2 months, we do have lower attendance. And then I think in September, you know, we'll see where we're at.
Yeah, because I know rec is 1 in June, 1 in July, then they go back to the regular schedule after that.
Sounds good to me.
It'll be, again, you know, we'll get feedback from all the boards and committees of what's working and what's not working. They've been good about that. I mean, the Zoning Board of Adjustment reached out to us last month and said it's really important that they had in-person meetings, and we were able to accommodate that. So. Just a couple things here. I wanted to make sure I got into the record that under employee health protection and personnel, we had 3 bullets: bullet number 3, bullet 4, and bullet 5. So bullet 3 is this: the town clerk's office shall only process and issue marriage certificates for Litchfield residents. What they've found is that now that we've opened up, we're starting to have a lot of non-residents coming to our office and applying for these certificates because the office, their town or city, they're still not processing these certificates. So we want to restrict it to just Litchfield residents at this time.
Well, if we process them, do we get the fee?
We do get the fee, but we're inviting surrounding communities, Manchester, you know, Hooksett, Hudson, Londonderry. I mean, let those towns and cities handle their own citizens.
It's called out of town fee.
The fee will go
Bump
up.
that sucker up.
And we discussed work and personal travel. So this would allow work travel to resume. They have been traveling pretty much just, you know, within New England, but we have, especially in the police department, a lot of the specialized training is outside of New England. And this is the time of the year that they're scheduling those training sessions, making reservations. So we're recommending that be lifted and we allow personal travel. People want to go traveling different destinations for their own personal reasons, that they do that, that they follow the CDC guidelines. And we discussed today how throughout the world, there are different levels of risk. And we were just trying to discourage or avoid countries that are level 4. I'm not saying you can't, but we're actually just saying we discourage it.
Is the Canadian border open?
It is. I don't believe it is yet.
Not yet.
No.
Which is kind of surprising.
Yeah.
You know? And that's going to hurt our economy somewhat, at least.
Yep.
And bullet number 5, budget spending freeze shall no longer be in effect.
Well, let's not go crazy.
I kind of, you know,
We slipped that one in there, didn't
we
you?
put that in effect, you know, over a year ago, and then we got our new budget and everything, and I think everyone's silent. I think we've all been just operating within our budget, but officially,
That's what they're supposed
we've
to be
never
doing.
lifted the spending freeze.
But see, as long as they do what they're supposed to be doing, this should not be
We've
said.
always done what they're supposed to do.
So Rich, back to your question, it got extended until June 21st of 2021. So a couple more weeks.
Oh,
The border,
Canada?
yeah.
Oh, really? June 21st.
You went online
That's
to
close.
find it, huh?
Found it like that.
That means all the Frenchmen and their Speedos won't be up at Old Orchard.
Come July 4th, they will be.
What do they call those? Marble bags?
Sorry, Kim.
Okay.
She's not going to Old Orchard.
No.
She's a doctor for heaven's
She's got a
She's a
winery. She's got a winery.
Not a doctor.
Not that kind.
Okay, so that's what we came up with.
So the emergency management team is dispersing?
No, they'll still
No.
be together.
No, we're still having calls.
We
Okay, I'm just asking.
we kind of so far it's been, we meet on a weekly basis, but if there's no business in the last month or so, if there's no business to discuss, we don't meet.
Usually what happens when Frank gets off the call or he doesn't have the state call, that usually determines what we do.
Hey, before we go too far, how about a shout out to our town girls softball teams at the junior high and the high school level? They both won their championships.
Yeah, absolutely
Pretty
fantastic.
outstanding.
Yes.
both totally undefeated.
Yep.
That is good sportsmanship.
Fifth to 12th grade did absolutely
Yeah.
incredible.
Yep.
They all
Good job by our
graduated.
little ladies in this town.
That's right.
Graduated.
And the
Girl
high,
power.
the high school was never even challenged.
Yeah.
They mercied the championship game,
Did they?
Oh, the high school.
18-6.
High numbers all the way through.
And the same thing for the LMS was a mercy
Yeah.
in the championship game.
Yeah, I think.
Now, how about, back on this subject, not to disparage the girls softball, but recreation, talent hall, what's our?
Talent Hall is open up to 50 people.
And we're going to maintain that?
Where what the plan is when we're going to put in sanitizer, things like that to sanitize, as they say in the universal basic guidelines. And then after that, if there is an event, we'll have the janitorial staff go in and clean after that. So right now, there's nobody really usage other than the Boy Scouts, which we as a board here approved.
Mm.
Other than that, there's nobody who's put in for
Pickleball's
any.
not in there.
Pickleball?
Pickleball is outside, and they probably won't come back to October or November.
Oh, really?
Sorry, September, October. Yep. So we went through the whole thing. We went out there and asked, and the only people that came back were the Boy Scouts, and they'd like to use it until the church basement opens again.
Do they have those fogging machines that do the sanitizing via the fogging? I know the school has them.
Yeah, we have
We have one. Two.
the fire has one and we have one
Yeah.
too. Yeah.
So that's what
Maybe
they'll
we
go in.
should
at.
have those, yeah.
Yeah.
For those buildings.
Just a heads up, at the town dump, there's a lot of hand sanitizer somebody dropped.
Yeah.
off.
Yes, the school got a whole bunch from Walmart, I believe it was. They got a couple, 23 skids of it or one,
Yeah, 23
23
pallets.
skids. They kept like 3 of them, and they had no place to store it because it was flammable. So it's in one of the bunkers down at the transfer station.
Mhm.
So if anybody, any group, anyone needs hand sanitizer, just go see Dave Mellon. He'll be more than happy to disperse it. They actually had a pallet of it up in the recycle area for people to take over the weekend.
Very
And
nice.
they're 30-ounce pump bottles.
Very nice.
I couldn't believe it. I walked into Campbell and the aisle was lined with pallets.
Yeah, they didn't know what they were going to do with it. They were worried.
I got a phone call at like 8 o'clock sharp from the facilities manager saying, Troy, we need help. I said, what's going on? He goes, I can't explain to you. I have all these pallets. He goes, and they're flammable. I need to get them out of the building. And so we were able to work with them. And
I think a 53-foot tractor trailer showed up.
I had students figure out with so many pumps, how many pumps
There you
of
go.
hand sanitizer could you get out of all those pallets?
There's a mathematical quiz.
So yeah, any group, organizations, individuals, they're going to have it down at the transfer station. But back to the COVID plan, we need to make a motion to adopt it.
Unless changes are made to bring it back regarding this room here in the future.
Correct.
One last question, the library. I know we don't have direct control over that, but I know there are people that are, it's very high on their priority list. Is there anything that we can do there, or have they changed that?
We had a meeting today. There was nothing reported of any changes. So
None whatsoever.
Yeah.
It's still within the purview of the library trustees.
I would like to make a motion that selectmen encourage them to open up a little bit more, be a little bit more liberal on their masks.
Yeah, follow the same guidelines that the rest of the town is doing, maybe?
Like any other shopping area, any world, you can walk in, the books, you're touching this, touching that. You can look at that in that sense.
I mean, as a board, we could definitely send a letter
you can.
with our encouragement. I
Yep.
mean, there's
Yep.
That's a good idea, Rich.
to follow the same
Yep.
guidance that the town is doing.
I think, and I think that they're still requiring kids that come to wear masks. And I don't know,
Let's follow the same guidelines that the town's doing. I think that's fair.
So we had a motion by Mr. LaSalle's,
I'll second it.
a second by Mr. Leary. Any more discussion?
Should they follow the CDC guidelines as well? I mean, they should be, right?
They should be, but
And there's no more state of emergency, so.
none whatsoever.
Do you want to put that in the letter to do CDC guidelines and the town?
Yeah, because most of
Maybe
what
they'll
we're
do one
doing
of
is
them.
following the CDC guidelines because we're still
All right.
we're still doing the 6-foot distancing when we're doing calculations in places. So
this could
Just so it
be
doesn't
kind of
seem
a
Yeah.
off the wall question, but is current CDC guidelines that surfaces are a problem,
I don't believe so.
or did that go away? Because I've heard the science
Yeah.
that it doesn't live on.
doesn't
surface.
live and
On hard surfaces.
They at least in the guidelines, universal guidelines stuff I've seen, they just talk about cleaning and disinfecting high touch surfaces. So I don't know if anyone's determined specifically how long
I don't think it survives on hard
the virus
surfaces. I've heard that.
stays on certain surfaces. I think it's going to be interesting in the next couple of months. How everyone keeps saying you're going back to normal, and at what point in time do you go 100% back to normal? And I don't think there's going to be any federal agency that's going to just come out and say, okay, just go back to normal living.
Yeah. So right now the CDC has guidance for vaccinated and non-vaccinated individuals.
Yeah. So that they're never, you're going to have this guidance for the rest of our lives for non-vaccinated individuals. So that's my point is, like, at what point in time does this end? And I don't hear any discussion about that.
You won't.
Is there a spacing?
It doesn't go
requirement?
on for the next 5 years because
People
someone
still
didn't get
recommend-
vaccinated.
Okay, as long as-
That's correct. This could die out.
So I don't understand
Right.
when, like our governor, he's been able to say, hey, the state of emergency is no longer in place.
It's like the flu shot, okay?
So,
You can get it or you don't want it. That's a saying. This is basically the flu shot that we're getting. That I got to protect myself from it, and I felt the difference. I know some people that don't even get the flu shot.
Mm.
Okay.
it was real. I mean, this pandemic was real.
There's no question about it.
And
And flu season's
With the-
starting to act
all
up
the
now,
safety,
I think.
measures we put in place, and the technology we was able to use, when you look back at it, how quickly it all happened and how we pulled it off is just amazing. And as you saw just a few weeks ago, the newspaper articles, having big headlines that the city of Manchester and the city of Nashua are opening up their lobbies.
Yep.
We've been open since the pandemic started, and they've been
Milford
shut
just-
down.
And Milford just did
So-
theirs too.
Yeah. So we've done well here with all the protective measures that we put in place, and
We ever did.
So we did good.
This building helps us do it. The lobby being the way it is.
Yeah.
That simple glassing and stuff
Mhm.
and everything else we had made it work. Good design back in the day.
Great forethought.
So we got Rich's motion on here. We got.
Yep. We had a motion, we had a second.
We're ready for a vote.
Do we have any further discussion?
Forgot what it was.
That we send a letter to the library.
I gotta say, I was almost gonna vote no.
All right, all those in favor, Mr. Larry,
Aye.
Mr. LaSalle's,
Aye.
Mr. Lynch,
Aye.
Ms. Queenan.
Aye.
I am also an aye. Motion carries 500. Now let's get back to the COVID reopening plan. We keep looping in and out of it.
All right, so I'm pretty much done with the presentation. I know we're going to reach out to Dave and discuss the swap table further.
Other than that, is everybody comfortable with the reopening plan as presented this evening?
The only question I had was on the conference room next door. That seems like it's a bigger room than this, but they're only going to allow 15 people. in?
Their problem is storage of they've got tables in there that
Yeah.
that are usually deployed and they're taking up they're just taking up the floor space.
Mhm.
Is that open to the public now?
So it's going to be it's going to be
Based on-
open.
It will
but
be according
It is
to
restricted
we
to
adopt this.
size. What did you have there,
It
Bob?
says 16 occupants.
Operation.
That seems like a bigger room than
That's
this.
a big room.
It's a big room according to their measurements because of some of the furniture that they have stored in there, the tables and stuff, to create the 6 feet of distancing, they've had to store tables in there. These tables here came from the fire department. They have more tables like this over there that are folded up and taking up floor space. So it reduces their,
They won't fit in the bay.
what's that?
They won't fit in the bay.
No, they won't.
There's room in the bay.
That's the only question I have on any of this. I think we can fit more than 16 in there, but
I still do.
if Frank and Doug say no, then I guess I'm okay with it then. So you need a motion.
We need a motion.
Move to adopt the town offices and facilities operations plan effective Tuesday, June 15th, 2021. Did I read that right?
Yep.
Okay,
We have a
I have
motion
my
by
glasses
Mr.
on.
Larry
Second.
and a second by Mr. Lynch. Any further discussion? All those in favor, Mr. Larry,
Aye.
Mr. LaSalle's,
Aye.
Mr. Lynch,
Aye.
Ms. Queenan.
Aye.
I am also an aye. Motion carries 500.
Somebody tell Bobby Jacques so he can get his group back together.
Yep. Veterans
Oh,
would love to
yeah.
get back in there.
Yeah.
The Republican Party wants to get back in.
They gotta come back to us with their new hat design.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
They haven't been back yet. Have to reach
The
out to
other
Bobby.
option is town hall could be used.
Yep, it can be used, yeah, because they can hold.
Because that's a
50.
bigger,
And we have that up to
You can
50 right now.
You can
so.
space the seats out, yeah.
it's not, it probably wouldn't be as comfortable, but
Next, we have administrator report. Mr. Brown.
All right, I have 4 items to report. One, I want to talk about the Pennachuck rate case that we interveners in, and right now with the special legal team we have, we're pretty much sure that Hooksett is definitely going to be pulling out. They don't have any fire hydrant rentals that they're paying for, so they're strictly a rate for just their water consumption. And the town of Pelham, we believe, might be pulling out, but we're not 100% sure. But with that being said, we're going to see if we can try to organize a meeting with the Londonderry Town Council and actually all 4 communities that they want to have an online Zoom meeting where we can have our legal counsel and representation from all the boards, all the towns, and discuss about where we're at and how we're going to go forward.
Okay.
So I wanted to make sure I stuck my neck out again and said, I'm sure Litchfield's in 100%. And the town manager over in Londonderry said, yeah, Londonderry's in. But we, before we get going down the road much further, we want to try to organize a meeting like that. So.
You want us to authorize this?
No, I going to assume everyone's nodding their head, so I'm going to assume everyone's on board with it. We'll continue to coordinate something and have a meeting.
Could you get back to us on hydrant rentals in the other towns? Hooksett doesn't have it. Pelham, do they have it?
They have, I think they have some hydrants, but
There aren't
not many. Hooksett does not. You know what? Hooksett doesn't. They're private, so they're like we were, where all the residents were paying for it in their water bill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which makes.
So next Monday night, I've been working on our stormwater management coalition, working with UNH, the town of Bedford, and the town of Derry, along with Litchfield. We'll be doing really UNH is hosting it for us, but the three towns are partnering, Bedford, Derry, and Litchfield, on doing an informational workshop on lawn fertilizer. So we'll be getting that information out this week. It'll be a Zoom meeting. You'll be able to click on it, and it'll be pretty much restricted to those three communities. And UNH will have their staff available to do an educational workshop on lawn fertilizers and, the ways that you can test your soil and the amount to put down. It's all, part of our stormwater management plan, try to prevent over fertilization of your lawns and just really just having healthy turf that doesn't need, as much fertilizer. So that'll be going on next Monday night. I want to let you know the state forest did reach out to us. I had sent an email around to a lot of the boards and committees that I thought would have interest in the parking lot construction activity that they're going to have. I received back only a couple of comments. One, the fire department mentioned about the gate. They'd like to definitely make sure that there's a gate that's going to be constructed in a way that they can have access to it 100%. The way the parking lot is today, there's most of the time there's vehicles that are blocking the entrance.
You can't get up there with the fire truck.
Can't get
Put
up
the
there.
rocks in the first place.
Yeah. So the fire department said, our concern is gate access and no vehicles parking in front of the gate. So I received some input from a resident who was on the planning board saying, if there's anything they can do in the design, so the slope entering the parking lot could be, reduced a little bit, because in the wintertime going in and coming out, it can get icy and slippery and people slide out onto Albuquerque or get stuck trying to get up, off the road. So I thought those were good input. I'm going to talk to Jason Brennan again, just see if he had any thoughts on, trying to carry the theme of the white vinyl split rail fence or any of the granite, but I don't think this is something the state's going to be interested in paying for anyhow. But if for any reason, through the beautification efforts of our community, it's possible that if we could volunteer to do that if there's interest in it. But I don't know. Let's just reach out to Jason one more time, see what his thoughts are. But on that same note, we did receive correspondence that in the state saying that back when they talked to us, when they gave the presentation, they talked about the rogue trail that closed, that 2 bridges, that at the same time, I think we were focused so much on the closure of the 2 bridges trail that at the same time they were talking to us about the Colonial Water Tower Trail. And they have notified us that they do plan on closing that trail off as well. It's in their opinion, it's another unauthorized trail. And that is the one trail where the illegal ATV activity comes in. So, yeah, I have to admit, I personally have seen the illegal ATV activity coming in from that trail. But I just wanted to make sure you were aware of that. I don't know if we want to reach out to conservation, just to kind of reach out to them and see if they want to take a position on it.
That meeting is going to be in July, two weeks away.
Yeah.
So
It'd be nice to have conservation
Yep,
talk about it and
yep.
see if they actually concur with the state. I have a feeling they might.
I would put this in, send something to
To Matt?
Matt
Okay.
and put it on the agenda.
Yeah. I mean, I think
This
there'll
is
be
a
some,
ongoing
I think there'll be some
situation.
discussion, but at the end of the day, I have a feeling conservation may concur with the state's opinion on that one.
With
And it
the
gets
ATV.
everybody talking. It's the board talking, everything we've talked about,
Yeah.
Let's keep it open.
But they've done their job. They did reach out via email to Matt Laporte and myself and gave us a heads up. So the activity, if it happens, is probably going to happen sometime in the fall. So we've got,
Well, when they're cutting, we'll see it being.
I think
closed.
it's, I think they got the whole forest cut going on.
They know how to do it.
All right, that's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Selectmen report, Ms. Queenan.
Planning board meets tomorrow, Tuesday, I should say June 15th at 7 PM in the town hall.
In the
As
town
of the last vote. This Wednesday, June 16th, at 7 PM, National Regional Planning Commission has its quarterly meeting. Look at their website for details. On June 26th is a Saturday. The Strawberry Festival will be down in the area where the Litchfield Presbyterian Church, Old Fire Station, Old Town Hall is. It's from 11 to 2. It's a drive-through theme this year. You get your sausage rolls at one table, your shortcake at another table, rhubarb pie or whatever, strawberry pie at the next table. And then if you would like to stop at the Historical Society table, you could do that as well. And that's because of COVID. And that's it.
Okay, thank you. Recreation does not meet until July. However, we're going to have a special meeting tomorrow evening just to approve or not approve one field use request. The only other item I have is the Boy Scouts reached out asking if they could use the gazebo area out front. On June 23rd, they'd like to have an end of the year celebration where they give out achievement awards. Within that, they also would like to have a fire. So I reached out to the fire chief and he completely supports it and will make sure that one of his guys is there during the whole process. So since it is town land, it's up to us if we're going to allow that or not. And there's no group I probably trust more with a fire than the Boy Scouts. So
We used to build some good ones.
yeah,
Do you get a badge for that?
I think you do, campfire badge, right?
So
Well, the
before
guy
they
doesn't
can even
get
have
paid
that,
as
we have to
much
say
then.
yes or no to it.
Oh, I
Was
don't
that
have a problem
fireman
with
done
that.
it?
I
They're
think
gonna
it's a
use
great
that.
idea.
They're going to use that drum.
The drum that we use during fire prevention week, and they'll make sure it's all taken care
They
of.
gonna invite the Girl Scouts too, or?
I don't know.
They can bring cookies.
Yeah,
I
there's
was
plenty
gonna
of
say,
cookies
now
left
they know
over.
they got cookies.
Can have snack time. So if nobody has an issue, I'd like us to grant permission to the Boy Scouts to use that on June 23rd.
Go for it.
I have no problem. I just want to make sure that if the Boy Scouts are doing their thing, the fire chief wants somebody there, he's going to do it for the kindness of his heart. He should not be on the payroll.
You can reach out to the chief.
Okay, I would prefer it that way because then it's volunteering.
Sure.
Okay.
So everybody's good, so I can let the Boy Scouts know?
Yes,
Okay,
absolutely.
thank you. That's all I have. Mr. Larry,
Budget committee meets next Thursday. We haven't met in a while.
not this Thursday?
Don't start. Don't plant the seed.
Are you off? Is the budget committee off in July or is it August?
We're off in July. Yeah.
July.
August is when it kicks up.
That's when it starts getting busy.
That's when it gets busy.
Mr. Lynch,
Conservation was a good meeting the other night. We had a lot of good discussion about organization. Certain things going on, studies, events, stuff like that. Tonight, this all happened here tonight. I think it's going to be good communication now. I'm going to start there. And that's going to be a key part to the whole thing and working with every department. I believe Matt's going to be the young director. Okay, with help from us and the community here. Besides that, it's been just quiet.
good. Mr. LaSalle's.
Heritage Commission has not met. There was a meeting of the PFOA, has the new appointment heard anything?
She was part of a call last week, I think.
Okay, but as far as being, has she been appointed? Do you know?
I believe so, because she got the
The invitation.
email to say be
Okay.
part of the call. So I'm assuming that all went through.
Okay. It's come up in discussion about whether St. Cobain would be responsible for installing individual home filters. One of the things that came up in a recent meeting was there may be some federal funds available for this. So stay tuned on that, because there may be some funds where people would apply and be able to install a filter for their house. So nothing concrete as of yet, but the legislature met last Thursday, and we meet again to finish up as far as committees of conference on the 24th, and that'll be the end of this yearly's legislative session.
Okay, great. Thank you. Since we have no other business this evening, we do have one non-public session. It's under RSA 91-A:3 2B, hiring of any person as a public employee. Do we have a motion to go into non-public?
So moved.
We have a motion by Mr. Leary. Roll call vote. Mr. Leary,
Aye.
Mr. LaSalle's,
Aye.
Mr. Lynch,
Aye.
Ms. Queenan.
Aye.
I am also an aye. We are now going into non-public session. While we do not anticipate the need to return to public session following a non-public for any reason other than to adjourn, we reserve the right to do so if the public session necessitates the board to take action in a public session. We are now going into a non-public session. Everybody have a great evening, and thank you for tuning in, and be well.